Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MSI. We are in the final day of competition, and we've got 2 more sets left. This time, we're at the semifinals. We've just seen NIP punch their ticket into the finals. They'll await our winner of Penta and Virtus.Pro. 2 underdog teams. Nick, as I'm joined with you again by the desk. We've been working together all day. It's been a team kind of surprising a lot of people. Virtus.Pro, especially because they've been real good, real bad in league, and also Penta, who have just been a minor league team. They haven't even been in the league.
Right. We don't have a lot of data on them against these squads. Yesterday, it feels like a fluke, man, but at the end of the day, they get this 3-0, and you're just left dumbfounded. I mean, absolutely speechless. Everyone, it was just a weird air in the building when that was happening. Everyone's like, it's one of those upsets that you just can't believe it's real until it is completely over, and they managed to get it done, man. It's a huge, huge victory for that org.
I mean, they didn't tap us on the head with it. They knocked us out. I mean, it was a 3-0. I mean, for crying out loud, give me a 5-game set. Navi didn't even win a game. And we got to talk about why, because these players have been phenomenal. Let's talk a little bit about K. Crunchy, or Crunchy as a lot of people call him. I've heard him called Crunchy in the booth, but I don't know if they were joking around with the man. Either way, he has been very, very good for him in that frontline role. He's been really phenomenal on the Ash. He's made some great decisions. And it's been an integral part of their team's composition.
And there's just a little bit of PPL experience sprinkled about this roster. Sprinkled ever so gently.
Lightly salted.
This has been Ash's tournament, though. I'm very surprised that she's been dominant, I think, over Khan specifically. That's really the 1-2 aggro tank punch, who's really the king of that category. And even on the Fernando, I mean, that's what was really kind of surprising to see. This character has been extremely rare to see picked up, but to play it into normally it's like, we got this because that was all that was left. But Crunchy made a resounding impact. They were so excited. Crunchy specifically had a couple of great pop-off moments in his player cam yesterday, and what a fun set it was to watch, to really get to know this Penta squad as they kind of come of age at LAN.
Truly, truly a coming-of-age story. And somebody who's caught my attention the second he was in the building for an interview. Penta won, and I saw Arrays. And Simsy, he likes to talk. He gets going. Yeah. And Arrays stole the mic from him, and he started saying his point, even on a question that was geared towards Simsy. And I think that showed to me that he was not willing to back down. There's no lack of confidence in this guy. And it shows in his play. He is, from the get-go, said, we feel like we can beat anybody here.
It's some really, really critical shots. Cassie is, for my money, his best pick, and I really hope we get to see a decent amount of him on it. It's going to be hotly contested. Don't get it twisted. Virtus.Pro have them some serious Cassie players as well. But the breadth of champions that Penta succeeded with yesterday is yet another thing you got to be worried about if you're a Virtus.Pro fan. This is a Vivian highlight. This is a Vivian just running it down mid on Na'Vi to close out one of the most important games of this set.
And, honestly, his Leon was probably one of, if not the most impressive Leons until we saw Tinners today.
But he made that.
But
Torvald and Leon,
they made that. And that was what really, I think, gave everyone the confidence to go ahead and do it. And playing even the Vivian in
now
that
it's like the go-to.
I mean, it's what everyone's going
It's wild.
For. It's become the LAN meta. And I don't know if you'll ever see a lot of these teams giving each other Torvald. That might have been, there was a lot of risk taken with SSG. They gave him Torvald. They gave him Makoa in a game. There's just, I don't know. You'll say that worked, that didn't. They'll look back at it. But we have another chance to talk to the guy who's looking to go back home and have his mother congratulate him by baking cookies. It's one of the most odd celebration stories, but he's talked about it ever since his LAN back in November. Let's send it down to Dave, who's got some words with Simsaloo.
Thank you guys very much. Down here in the Penta booth with none other than the interview machine man himself, Simsaloo. Done all the interviews this week. First of all, yesterday before playing against Na'Vi, I know you guys were feeling a little nervous, but now you're in the semifinals. How are the nerves feeling across the team today?
I mean, we took down our biggest opponent this tournament, Na'Vi. So it's kind of hard to be nervous, especially as the underdogs. Right. From this point forward, we only have momentum.
So let me touch on that. Do you still think you're technically the underdogs in this matchup against Virtus.Pro, despite taking down the number 2 seed in the tournament yesterday?
Hard to say. Sure. Overall, I think the best way of putting it is that we're not underdogs anymore, and people have to be afraid of us. Sure. It's very important that they respect us now, but it won't matter.
Right. At the end of the day, whoever plays well come out with the win. A team you're not necessarily super comfortable with. I know you guys scrim a lot against NIP, against Na'Vi, specifically Virtus.Pro. How are you feeling about this matchup?
4-0.
You said 4-0. He said 3-0 yesterday, and it came true. Maybe a 4-0 today. Thanks for talking with us. Best of luck. Let's send it back to the desk.
Listen, by the transitive property, he should 8-0 Virtus.Pro, because Na'Vi have definitely handled Virtus.Pro throughout the league.
Yeah.
And they just 3-0'd Na'Vi. It should be a very dominant performance from Penta if those hold. But we all know that they don't. We all know this is land. We all know that it doesn't matter. And Virtus.Pro themselves have been playing pretty well.
Unfortunately, it comes down to the day. One thing that I like that Dave that brought up, it was there is a lot of experience with Na'Vi. Penta is the best scrims you can get when you're home in Europe. I wonder how they'll look when not as prepared against a team like Virtus.Pro. It could be a boon. It could be something that holds them back. I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but it's something to keep your eye on in this set.
I think if anything, just draft-wise and what they're prepared to bring out and what they're prepared to prioritize, because Europe and North America traditionally have some very different priorities in the draft. It's even in small ways, it ends up making a big impact here. Virtus.Pro, though, they've had their own story, and I've been able to watch back so many of these great moments over the last few days, even going back to DreamHack Valencia, where they were able to win their very first LAN, their only LAN at North America internationally until NV1 at Vegas. And Doseps was a part of that squad. He was one of the guys that did innovate alongside Cuss and took the Torv all the way from the Chinese team QG at the moment. And he's really been, I don't want to say struggling, Nick, but he's been trying to find that success, full success ever since then.
Almost like the Tenor story. I mean, he comes from that G2 roster. They win a lot. They go undefeated online. It's in their blood. The victory, the success. He is a veteran of the scene. We're talking DreamHack Sweden, even before I was around. Doseps was here before me. There was Doseps. But you're right. It's been a little lackluster in terms of international finish. He's got one. He's got one notch on the belt. Looking for another here today and to break that curse of only performing well online.
Well, Fasheko, he's another big storyline. We talked about who would you rather play. Bonker said he'd rather play VP, probably because there is that European kind of connection here between these two. Plus, there's a little bit of a connection between a lot of the great matchups that happened when Akate was facing off over the last few years against some of these European juggernauts across the pond. I really do think Fishy, though, has been lights out. For me, his Bomb King play, although he didn't get the finishing blows on Splitstone Quarry and things like that yesterday, it was the most impactful turning point for, I think, Virtus.Pro's success. He just made everything so efficient in a blaster, which is something that he's always been known for, not always done. So you have a chance to see both of them. Are you in any way leaning one way or the other for this matchup?
I actually have no idea. And that's one of the most fun things to say is
fun.
That this is just, it's a minor league team. You absolutely have no idea what you're going to get from them on any given day because they just don't have the experience at this level. It could hurt them, could help them.
Well, who does hopefully have an idea of what's going to happen? The coach of Virtus.Pro. Let's send it down to Dave, who is standing by next to the Spuds.
Thank you, guys. Down here in the Virtus.Pro booth, the team's feeling good. I don't know how I would describe this song. It's sort of like gothic, hype, cathedral-style music. Obviously, the team's feeling good today.
Yeah, we're feeling good. We got to sleep in a little bit. First set was pretty short, but we're ready.
Well, I want to jump right into it. Obviously, Penta minor league team upset Na'Vi 3-0 yesterday. What's your take on Penta?
They're a good team. That's really all there is. Come on, Fish. But yeah, they're good. They're not a PML team. Let's be fair. Let's be honest. This team is not PML caliber. It's PPL caliber, and we're ready to play them like they're PPL caliber.
So you go into this matchup preparing the same way you would for a PPL matchup?
Yeah, just a little less prep since we haven't been able to play them in tournaments. So just watching more of their games from this week.
Yeah, and to kind of build on that, obviously a team you haven't been able to scrim against. You just have a little bit of footage with PML games and then some of their games in this tournament. Is there anything about them on the side of Penta that you maybe specifically prepare for?
No, they're just a solid 5-man unit. So that's really how we're going to come into it.
Obviously, you guys want to move on to the finals here today. Penta's standing in your way. What do you need to do to win this matchup?
Just believe in ourselves.
Sure.
That's it.
Well, hopefully playing with some good emotion. Thanks for chatting with me. Best of luck to you guys. Let's get this one rolling.
I cannot wait. The Spuds giving us an interview with a little bit of, what do you say, Latvian music? What was going on back there?
Ameno. You know that song? Ameno.
No, I don't.
You don't know that song?
I don't.
I couldn't believe that. I feel like it's like a popular, like, almost like a meme song.
Oh, well,
I
then
think
that's
in, like,
why
the gaming
you definitely
space.
know, and Fish knows as well. Yeah, I'm sure I probably could know from maybe if someone played it, but yeah, it didn't ring a bell there. It just sounded like some background music from a different time and age.
Yeah,
that
it's a creepy music video too. It's very like, I mean, Dave hit the nail on the head. It's like creepy, like old cathedral, like crypt style, like.
Didn't think that
weirdness.
was I mean, I'm used to like EDM, just some like hype music to get ready for a game, but whatever works, brother, whatever works. I'm glad that he's feeling good about it. Ascension Peak is one of the only maps we haven't seen a ton of over these last few days. I am a little sad to not see Ice Mines banned, so I hope
You're a bad liar.
I hope I hope that we get to see a lot of other maps, let's put it that way, and Ascension Peak is a great showcase. What are you expecting here out of these drafts, Nick? We got to see both these teams play yesterday.
Well, especially in
Maves,
these best of
EDs.
sevens, I think keeping it pretty standard. Ash is already not super standard, but
No.
normally in game one you see kind of a standardization before people start to feel out the set. They want to go with what they know. They want to go with what's solid. Ash taking a seat early on, grabbing the con. I think there's a really high prioritization on Barrack for VP as well. It's something to keep in mind of. I don't know if it's worth taking away immediately,
Sure.
given that I think Penta like Inara better, right? So they're kind of happy to just let them get what they want so they can get what we want.
Big time pickup from Khan, and that's really the only power tank left. The ability to grab the Barrack, you could grab a Nara. These are things that will give you a lot of sustain, but right now you've definitely found yourself better off grabbing the Genos here and just attempting to be able to pivot towards triple DPS.
And the pivot is the critical thing. This just plants a seed in VP's mind. He gets them thinking about what are they going to be going for here. That would have also been a very potent 1-2 pick for VP if it was allowed to go back their way.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Cassie now as well. That's going to be highly contested, I think, between Hecate and Raze specifically. It's maybe not Hecate's first choice, but I think it might need to become that today because it will be Raze's first choice.
Nick, the one thing I want to say is his Leon was so good. It stands out in my mind. I just keep...
And he would rather play it.
He'll be happy, yeah.
He would rather play it. He absolutely would.
I think they'll be happy with it. There's the Leon picked up for Virtus.Pro, so he's going to go ahead and grab the Scion of House Ico, as Penta now have a chance to respond. Usually don't see pips here, but we did see Penta go into the pip. Simsalu's known for being a very flexible, maybe one of the most flexible, I think a spiritual successor to Bugsy, so to speak, in Paladins history, where he can just kind of play anything and everything, doesn't really dabble onto the front lines because his team doesn't need him to, but it's hard to ban him out.
He's a real long-term pit player, too, and, every character in Paladins is a little bit different than when they came out. But he's been there every step of the way. Had a phenomenal Mave on a lot of games yesterday. So look for him to run that back, especially when supplemented by Genos. He's going to be extremely potent on the offense here. And throughout this draft, we commented on it at the start. This is flexible. You never know which way that Penta could go. They're keeping their options open, and they've continued to do so by not locking down another front line. They're saying we could go for the 3 DPS. Obviously, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point. But we saw Fernando for them yesterday, and, I thought it was very impactful. I was impressed, surprised when it got picked. It was not on my radar. I'm like, oh, my God, I almost forgot this character was in the game at this point.
Yeah.
Because this is almost the last day of MSI. We haven't seen it once.
I'm very, very excited for this. VP now taking a little bit of time. Drogos. Oh, my goodness gracious. This is an interesting pick, given the Mave, his ability to pressure it, and the fact that we've seen Bomb King be kind of the real safe pick in terms of some of these matchups. The height and this map does give him the flexibility to
Big
be
old
able to use
skybox. Big old skybox for sure. I mean, you're talking high above what everyone else can do. When you watch him, kind of like on Serpent Beach, there's just a lot of uncontestable. It's not even really high ground. It used to be almost a bannable offense to be up there playing around, but now that Drogos can just fly so effectively, it's changed the game completely. It comes down to no true hit scan, but Cassie and Maeve can, if they're on point, deal with this Drogos pretty effectively.
We'll see how it turns out. It's Penta and VP, both underdogs, now trying to take their spot to the finals by force. It'll start in game one, but before we go there, let's send it to Dave and Gore, who are standing by.
Thank you, Phyllis. Semifinal number 2 about to kick off down here. The sort of bottom side of the bracket of upsets. And then I think that's almost an understatement. Penta beating Na'Vi yesterday. Virtus.Pro beating Envy in convincing fashion, I might add. Simsalu's anime arc continues. Game number 1, Ascension Peak. This is a map that Virtus.Pro are very comfortable with, and they'll look to start off this set with a win.
And the biggest thing to me is, like they said, that Drogoz pick. This is a very good map for Drogoz, but at the same time, it can be a little shaky, and that is very heavily going to depend on, very much like yesterday, the matchup between Simsalu and, well, instead of creatives like it was yesterday, this time it is going to be Fasheko. Whoever wins that 1v1, or really if Simsy just can't kill off Fasheko, then Virtus.Pro are going to have a distinct advantage over the point.
Honestly, on paper, this is one of the more exciting blaster duels to watch in this tournament. Simsalu has really taken this one by storm, and Fasheko's so consistently good, especially on the Eevee. Simsalu, though, he gets the upper hand of this first engage. A double kill already. Hecate Vex deleted off of the map. Penta, they get a clean 3 sweep. Only trade out Erase on the Cassie. And Penta, they are not skipping a beat.
So he went with the other strategy. There were 2 strategies there. There's kill Drogoz or kill everyone else. They went with the latter. They just decided that to win this, I guess, to really take control, they were able to kind of decimate one by one, going around the route, taking control of the high ground on the right side, and then just pushing that pressure into the point. It felt like, I don't know if I saw a single rocket from this Drogoz truly connect. I know I've heard a couple salvos, I've heard the shots fly by,
oh my,
but I haven't seen any health bars get truly low for Penta.
Gormizer, Simsalu says, give me a mark and let me run wild. He's doing that and then some more, maybe even getting another kill onto Dosips. Accentra, the man with the Inara plays, is on Barrack this time around. Both the frontliners adding a kill for Penta. Point number 1 goes the way of Red. And they're not playing like an underdog right now.
If I'm Virtus.Pro, that's uncomfortably convincing, right? Like, that's one of those things where it's not just, cool, Penta got the first point, but it's, we chose this map, we got a draft we really like. They just got one of the few kills, if any, they've picked up for this game. Like, there's a lot more, I think, going on in Virtus.Pro's minds right now, and they need to figure it out. I think it's going to rely on Fasheko as the game goes on, as he warms up on this Drogoz. If he gets more, if he can get just 1 kill during a point fight, it'll change everything.
Well, he's in a great spot right now to make Penta uncomfortable off the map. Goes Cruncy. Erase and Bolka, though, trading back. Make it 4. Oh my, everyone on Penta getting in on the action. Only Dosips is left standing here. Bit of an intermittent fight. Nothing going through just as of yet. Minute and 35 left as this payload's inching ever closer. Of course, Bolka on the Penta side, 10 streak. Simsalu on the 9 streak. Simsalu really took over that first point fight. We'll look to do more of the same here. This is an area where the Mave can really make full use of that kit.
And it's really just because look at the shape of this. Not only is it going to be kind of an archway to go around from where his team or where he is standing to where his team's going to be pincering on the other side over here where Fasheko is, but you can jump up onto their high ground, control their high ground, fall over to your safety zone, wherever that's going to be, and then land up over here. Like, you're perfectly fine, perfectly safe, pretty much everywhere here is Mave, as long as you're playing careful.
He's playing carefully underneath the dome shield now. That's a full 5 stack, 4 stack from Penta. Simsalu, though, finds Hecate on the high ground. No more long-range poke coming through from Virtus.Pro right now. Fasheko needs to stay alive. It's a 1-for-1. Andy ends up finding a kill onto Bolka, so no more healing here for Penta. Still 40 seconds left, so this is not an end-all, be-all. But if the kills are coming up red, it could go in. Fasheko's staying alive up in the air. Accentra throws down the shield, tries to get the bowling ball out. He may end up going down, but Erase trades out. He gets 2. Crunty adds 1, and that's a successful push for Penta.
That's that moment where it's not end-all, be-all, but it's end-all, be-all. That was still right there on the cusp of it. And I mean, in a convincing fashion, you lose your front line, you're still keeping that pressure going. Respawn advantage is there for Virtus.Pro, and they weren't able to do it. They forced, I think, the best case scenario. You get rid of Inara, you get rid of Khan, then Maldamba has to jump down to try and defend. Then Leon has to jump down to try and defend. Fasheko can jump down, but at that point, it's almost worthless for the Drogoz to go, and everybody else has just been one by one erased.
This has been a team where, you know, so much of a microscope has been put on Simsalu, and game 1 of this tournament went 15-0 on the Bomb King. And for good reason. He's an incredible player, but Erase has stepped up to fill that damage flex role so well. And in games, honestly, we've seen a game or two where Simsalu isn't as impactful, but Erase seemingly every game catches a death here at the hands of the Drogoz. but staying aggressive. He's able to win this 1v1 right into the Dread Serpent. The Enlightenment cleans up Simsaloo, but they burn so much. Dread Serpent, Enlightenment, 50% of that cooldown is refunded. Looks like maybe an overpower missed as well for Virtus.Pro here, but they're fighting from the point with 42%.
And they only needed a little bit there. Just a little bit of room is going to mean a lot. And Raze has to come up and get at least one more kill right here without going down. Unfortunately for him, he is. The comeback mechanic's going to do its work here. Xintra does not stand a chance against Dragon Punch.
So he's going to rip through, get rid of that one. This is a good-looking mid fight for Virtus.Pro. Some of the ultimates go wide, but the kills, the picks, they still come through regardless. That's an important answer back from Virtus.Pro because Penta showed us yesterday, once they get rolling, that momentum can carry them through to a win. So Virtus.Pro making full use of that comeback mechanic for point number 1.
And it's the investment, right? Because like you said, admittedly at that point, it's 3 ults for 2 kills, 1 ult maybe not connecting. I didn't see where that seismic crash went. So you're using all of this and you came out more or less with nothing crazy. No big fights that were truly winning. It just came down to you killed Simsy very early on, and he didn't kill Leon, so you could move forward.
Pacheco gets the better of that duel right there. He's such a, I'll take a 1v1 duel any day of the week, and you would think that the Drogos would have the upper hand, or the Maeve would have the upper hand in that matchup. Just maybe with a little bit easier, a little bit more room for Arrow with the daggers. Trading back and forth. Simsy goes off the map. Not going to make that much of a difference as the respawn is so close. And as Penta were pushing so convincingly last time, Virtus.Pro with a chance to push this one in as well.
I mean, trying really hard, looking at that 71% now for Pacheco on the ult charge, which is a good, just kind of get things rolling once again card. Whenever you want to press it forward, you're going to get rid of the front line. You're probably going to be going for Xintra, and you're going to be able to just make sure Barrick isn't there. It's a little easier to deal with the Ruckus than it is to get rid of Xintra, but the problem is you need a little more room, I think, to get to him.
Yeah.
And Simsy's just having the game of his life. Yeah, he died a couple times between now and then, but he was 8-1 coming into this round.
Pacheco on the side of Virtus.Pro is trying to counter out as much as he can. The Drogos was firing on all cylinders, just gets cleaned up. He was unstoppable on an 8 streak just prior to that death. But Virtus.Pro are pushed so far back, essentially back on that midpoint. The payload not moving that far forward. Xintra, of course, with the beautiful Inara play yesterday on the Barrack this time around. Although one thing I noted, Virtus.Pro, as I was kind of in there talking in the booth, they know that Penta's core, if they can get Barrack, Inara, Cassie, Penta will be happy. And that's something Virtus.Pro have leaned in on. They know that they want the Inara, they want the Cassie as well. So they already have a little bit of footage on Penta, and they're looking to make him pay for it. A kill from Pacheco and Hecate, that's inching this payload closer.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how does Xintra perform?
Yeah, you're right.
Said yesterday, it was absolutely ridiculous. He was having the best set of his life. Even Penta, we're saying that's the best he's ever played in that set against Na'Vi. So you have to look at where his role is going to be and how impactful it can be.
It's a fire spit wrapping around the corner from Pacheco, finds some damage. Xintra onto Dosops. That's the only pick Penta needs. It was building up as if it could have been a contested fight. But that's important. 2-1, they find the defense. And point number 3 here. Virtus.Pro have 5 ultimates to play with. 4, soon to be 5 on the side of Penta. You won't be too sad to be missing that Cassie ultimate. Gives you some vision, but not too much utility outside of that. The Hexafire standing at 85%. A couple resiliences coming in as well. Master Riding coming out for Xintra here. Could make all the difference in the world. Through time and space is an important ultimate to look at, I think, as well, because so many supports in this league and in this tournament. Even if it's just one single pick, a good through time and space can win the entire fight.
It makes it a 4v5. Most of these guys have been able to hit double kills with it as well. So, like, you're looking at that. An instant 3v5 at the beginning of a round, it's not the guaranteed win. And, well, for Virtus.Pro, if they were able to get it, it absolutely would be. But it's going to set you off on such a right foot forward moment that you almost have no chance to truly lose. Dread Serpent going to come through. And there's the through time and space, but not connected.
The Dread Serpent was pretty good into the back line. The kills, though, they're still coming up red. Up on the high ground as he raised. Simsaloo is looking to get aggressive. Dosups. Oh, my. That's 4-4-0. Virtus.Pro with the respawn. Able to drop back is Vex here. But Penta, they're zoning, and they're zoning for the win.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks. I mean, we were talking about Xintra's Inara, but when you look at it, Dosups Inara has a little bit of the opposite effect. The only set I can remember is a set against Envy where they kept picking Inara, and it just kept failing. It never quite hit the stride they want. So if you're taking that away, what are you giving up for?
Virtus.Pro need to get in here. Pule going down. It's down to Dosups. He needs to stay alive, but there's no healing. There's no support on the back line. Simsaloo gets cleaned up. Hecate could start going big in this fight. He needs to stay alive. Enlightenment rips through Erase. Now the fight's getting evened out a little bit. Void Grip lifts up the Leon. The stun is good. A triple kill from Hecate saves the game for Virtus.Pro, and now they're fighting from the point with a chance to zone.
And they have the comeback mechanic fully enabled, 4% every single tick. They should be able to catch up to this 99 pretty fast, and that's going to force the hand of Penta a lot sooner than they want it to. Dismounts are going to be good, and that's going to be important.
It's only Dome Shield. Simsalou, though, again, Pule falls at the beginning of the fight, but they're able to trade out with the other frontliner. Can you clean up Simsy? The dash is going to do it from Hecate. A triple kill in the last fight, a double kill this time around, and a Dome Shield maybe from Penta, balancing things out. Erase wraps the corner and cleans up Hecate. He's still around. Fasheko, he needs to win this 1v1.
Just doing whatever he can. Good shots right here, but there's 2 front lines for Virtus.Pro dancing around, but Pule's just taking so much damage. He's just 2 shots from death.
Pule has not been able to get involved in any of these fights. First death, now 3 times in a row. Crunty, Erase, a double kill for the Ruckus, and a win for Penta.
They're doing it again. I mean, this is just exactly
the Cinderella story.
Admittedly, a team that just beat number 2 yesterday are coming in against number 6. Virtus.Pro is an incredible team, and Hecate showcased that. I mean, back against the wall, about to go down, and he still gets a triple kill. He saves that game. It's just Pule, unfortunately, in that game, almost constantly being harassed. Never got to be in the fight, as you were pointing out, where it's just he showed up, and then within a second, he was 2 shots from dead. Within 2 more seconds, he was dead.
And it's a Cinderella story here for Penta, but that carriage, it's not really looking like a pumpkin just as of yet, Gore. I don't think that clock is anywhere close to midnight right now. You got to be feeling confident coming off the back of a win against Na'Vi, a 3-0 win, I might add. I kind of joked around with Simsy, do you see yourselves as the underdog in this matchup still? He took a diplomatic approach and said, no, I mean, technically we're a minor league team, but they're playing like they want the finals. They want NIP.
Yeah, and I honestly, if they keep going at this route, I think they're going to be able to earn it. It's all like right now, Simsalou is doing well, but the rest of the team has matched up. Like the entire split has been the Simsy show. This is what they need as a whole unit to showcase themselves.
Well, you need to find an answer if you're Virtus.Pro. Things can really spiral out of control, as Penta have shown. Game 1 in the books. Penta win number 1 in the books. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thanks so much, guys. It is Penta grabbing the first win here against Virtus.Pro. Some spicy plays, some big moments from Erase.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is going exactly as planned for the minor league squad, continuing to feel confident in every step.
There's so many situations that Penta just find their way out of. That last moment is definitely one of them, with comeback mechanic raging. Kate Cruncy gets in there, and he knows he's going to do the touch, but that's not all he wants to do. He literally is accepting his death before he even turns the corner, dives wholeheartedly onto Vex to get him as low as possible to get the touch and then almost take out the support, so that when the team does arrive, that's the first that you see Simsalou beam across the room to try and get after Vex to finish what Cruncy started. Big Dome Shield from Exentra, and Erase, slow and steady, brings that team fight back with some more beautiful Cassie play.
You can only say that this is just great play by Penta, because Khan going 0-12 just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Pule played well, but you could tell even when he got the overpowers, he was bursted down. Erase was there with big game, and it was just, there was no way to deal with that threat on the board. 14-5 as well for Fish, so both the damage dealers did their job. It just was unfortunate how Penta played.
So speaking of, fighting their way out of bad situations, we're going to take another look at the second round point fight. Penta, we're already up to. Let's take this at about 50% speed so we can set this one up. So a big thing to note is comeback mechanic enabled. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the game, the team with 0 points or down 2 are going to be capturing much faster. And of course, Fishy starts this one off, not on screen, but with a big kill nonetheless onto Erase down here. This is the kill feed. Pay attention to that as it fills up, because a couple of important kills happen off screen. Notably, one rooted in the fear. You see this happens off screen as well, but it's Akate picking up Simsalou. This is where things feel like they're basically locked in for Virtus.Pro. They have comeback mechanic, they have gotten 2 kills for nothing so far this fight, and they still have 2 ultimates available. If you'll direct your attention up here, you see Dragon Punch and Seismic Crash. Now, pause it here so we can set this one up a little bit. The point on Ascension Peak is so huge, and even in these comeback mechanic fights, it can be easy for your opponents to get in there and get that touch because these statues provide some cover even in tough situations. But given where everybody is set up right now and this ultimate advantage, Virtus.Pro, they're pushing out to zone. They're doing everything right. And we talked a lot about going into this game. Cassie and Maeve are going to have to be on point to shut this Drogoz down. Like, if you're looking at, like, maybe this line of sight from, like, think about, like, Leon being on Penta. You can deal with that as, like, a non-hit scan character. But this, I mean, this shot is not going to be reliable from Arrays. And you can see, you'll start rolling the clip a little bit slower here, about 50%. He's just pounding this spot here, and you'll just pay attention to Arrays' health bar. He's kind of fighting tooth and nail in this little corner, but Fishy connects a couple of, admittedly very difficult to find rockets, but using these ultimates very well. We can speed that up. The kill comes through for Fisheko. We'll just play this one out at full speed. It's all done and dusted at that point. The Dragon Punch is charged from high. He comes roaring in. There's nothing left for Barrick to do except eat that one on the chin. Virtus.Pro done and dusted. And they're able to grab this one, but Penta, at the end of the day, are still able. So there's glimmers of hope. There's things that Virtus.Pro are doing right, which is all the scarier that Penta are still able to overcome what has been pretty clean play from Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell, there was a little bit of that over-aggression. Pulele does get taken down. Array switches from trying to finish off Fisheko to taking down the front line there when Dozibs is already really in position to hold down that choke. Penta have been taking advantage of moments that there have been slips from VP, and that's been the question. Can VP show up fully? Can they honestly keep up that high level of play for 4 points? Can they do it for 4 games? And so far, game 1, it just wasn't enough. Penta definitely had the better end of it. The Generals will be banned first, and this will open up at least one of those major front lines, either Torvald, the Makoa, or the Khan, and they're going to open up both now, and that's very, very interesting. VP now have a chance to open up another one, or they can just shut down the Makoa, which is probably the smart pick, but you can see Torvald, Khan, one of them will come out here.
I mean, it's so bold for a minor league team to approach a draft against a PPL team this way. I mean, normally you want to kind of keep things in your lane. You want to stick with what you know. Traditionally, that's what we've seen from minor league teams. But Spud said it best, man. Let's not kid ourselves. This is a PPL caliber team.
Yeah.
Penta just happened to be playing under the minor league banner for the time being. They put Torvald Leon on the map. I'm actually expecting VP to try and take that away here now.
And are
yeah, I mean, Leon would be a very nice pickup, and obviously the Cassie ban means that that's a great situation for them. But they're just going to prioritize the Ashe and the Inara, which are the 2 tanks that you're looking for now to probably be the best support going alongside Torvald, who just isn't a point tank at all. But that's the interesting conversation here. You don't have to play Shadow Desert like there is a point. You can kind of rotate around it all the time. A Khan would not be a bad pick going into this.
No, it depends how they want to approach it. With Cassie banned out, Inara and Ashe are very good picks, very, very healthy, and they won't have to worry about pesky old big game this time around. Penta playing around with what they want to combine with this Torvald. Do they want to show that yet? Do you go for something, like a Barrick? Could go for a Pip, could go for a Maeve. Simslo is very, very flexible and does go a lot of different ways, wears a lot of different hats. It will be the tried and true combination of at least Torvald Leon. This puts Akate in kind of a weird spot because, maybe he goes for that cardio Victor or something again. But Cassie Leon, I think, are his top 2 selections and probably his top 2 champions for this map, given how much he is going to have to move.
And one of the reasons you don't have to take Khan there is because unless they're going to pivot into a triple tank, you know that is going to be available in those last 2 picks. So you get your damage and you get your healer, and you take away what would be most crucial for them. You have to go into the Yings, the Saruses now. The Fury is most likely because Vex has shown he loves that, but it's in that second-tier type of healer outside of the Damba and Genos. So VP now have a couple of choices here. What can they grab? Will they go for the Pip? It's not impossible. Fishy has a mean one.
No, yeah. Well, probably not going to go for the Drogoz this time. It's not a very popular pick for this map, and there's a hard counter on the board for Penta. You want to stay far away from that. Shaolin is, man, he's been in and out, and it's really been up to the player. Like, you hit the shots. He's a fairly simple character. A lot of his damage is basically loaded onto whether you land the shot or not. He's as close as it comes to a sniper without being a sniper. So that's all I have to say about that. But wrapping things up for the draft here on the side of Penta, they do grab Simslo's Maeve.
You got to grab Khan here, right?
He gets in a minute. They could go Barrick. I mean, I wouldn't you know, having a real dedicated point presence. It's really just a pros and cons situation. They're both really, really solid picks. It's just a matter of what Penta want to play to. With them already having like a Torvald plus a Leon, wow, that's like a really good thing to kind of like spearhead a charge. You know, it's tough to fight into that amount of damage, and frankly, tankiness. Leon with that bubble is going to be at 4,200 HP for that 3-second window. Having some type of emergency break point presence to pull, like the Dome Shield, it has its merits.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, both definitely good picks, and Barrick doing more of the job that is needed, so he gets selected over what is considered a first pick in most scenarios, unpicked, unbanned. You won't see that very often for the Primus of House Ico Sir Khan. It'll be Virtus.Pro now with one more pick, and this will be a DPS flex. This is
Khan unpicked, unbanned. That's just still wild to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the steak place we were at the other night. It's like, at what point do you just eat because there's value attached to eating? It's like, at what point? It's like, dude, he's 90 still open. I'm just gonna pick him just cause. I don't care what my lineup needs.
See it my way.
Well, Fishy will be playing the King this time around. Shaolin, that's the question mark. We know it's tried and true for Fishy playing a Bomb King. In this situation, no real damage amp outside of Furia's ultimate. He's going to have to get it done with the base kit against a very, very potent draft. I got to be honest, I do like Penta's better here.
Yeah, Penta has a really good composition. I think Maeve and the Midnight is really strong on Shadow Desert. It's just so confusing, and if you get lost, whew, they got a lot of threats that can pick you apart, especially with
lasts
that
for 4 seconds, dude. That bubble lasts for 3. That's a lot of time to get a lot of value for a raise.
They're betting on themselves, too, because that's how they started off. Torvald Leon, that showed so much value, and I like it. They bet on themselves. You got to do that. You're coming from the minor leagues, trying to take down a pro team. Let's sit down to Dave and Gore and get Game 2 underway.
Well, for dining at a Brazilian steakhouse, Khan's little table tablet thing is flipped over to red this time around. No more, no thank you. No ban, no pick for Khan, interestingly enough. And I think this is a good, we've seen how great Torvald Leon can be.
Yes.
We've also seen how great Uraze can be without Torvald, without Genos. I think giving him even a little bit of extra boost here really tilts things in their favor.
And it's one of those things, like Genos, it's like, okay, cool, you have a little bit of trickle healing. It's good healing overall, but it's in-hand damage, which admittedly for Leon, that's almost all you need.
Sure.
But for Torvald, it's here's a 2,000 health shield and 30% more. Like you're getting
for everything
twice as much as you're getting out of a Genos, plus you're getting a shield on top of it. Like it's just so solid for you that there's almost no time that if these two are a pair, I feel like it's going to go poorly.
The early game flank, Torvald and Leon wrapping around the side. Oh, but they're trapped out right now. Virtus.Pro can turn around. The health bars are low. Excentra going to win a secondary trade here with Visheko on the backside. Uraze staying alive. That Torvald is doing wonders, but Hecate on the Shaolin shuts that one down. The shoulder bash rips through, sends Excentra the way of Pule Ule. And Penta, despite an early game positional advantage, they lose the fight.
I'd actually say that I think their positioning was kind of bad. Like I mean,
let me rephrase. An early game flank from Uraze.
It was a smart flank. It took way too long. I think that's really what it was. Is that if that flank comes through and kills Furia, that flank comes through and engages slightly earlier, then you get something out of it. They didn't get a single kill. They just kind of rotated around and watched as the other 3 members of Penta ended up dropping. And so if you're going to do something like that, you either got to engage faster or you got to pick something up a little more.
Well, it's 99% for Virtus.Pro. That's a double kill for the Barrack. Doseps, Visheko, both gone. Pule Ule tries to pull things back. Hecate's still alive, though. Bolka's been doing a good amount of healing here. Excentra on the point with 57%. They stall out the Virtus.Pro first point, at least for a moment. Now Virtus.Pro need to retake. Who will come in the hands of? Hecate's got bigger things in mind, and that's Simsalou, but he loses that engage. Excentra has to back off, but they have a 5v4 advantage score.
I mean, 84-99 right now. You lose Simsy, you get a good wall in the face, and Excentra can't get the touch to keep it in overtime. This fight's not coming up the way Penta needed.
Visheko has been doing so well on this Bomb King up to this point. Gets a few kills in each of these fights. He doesn't have the boost, doesn't have the damage amp, but he still has that 1v1 potential. And don't forget, Simsalou won a side engage with Hecate to start off that fight, but it wasn't enough. Virtus.Pro with positioning. Visheko comes up big and saves them a little bit of time there. Virtus.Pro capture point number 1 and are pushing for point number 2.
I think there's a lot of scenarios here where Virtus.Pro are relying on Fisheko, and Fisheko's answering the call, right? That's the thing is, I want to know what happens if he doesn't, but so far he's been very consistent on this bomb game. I mean, it is one of his best champions. It makes sense for him to be there. But I also need to see more come down. Like, Arrays has been very solid on this. I don't need him to be the only pocket for this bubble. I like seeing it go on to Simsy like that. I like seeing it spread around because I think both can accomplish so much given the opportunity. But they're just getting bursted.
The Inflame tees him up, and the rest of Virtus.Pro knock him down. Fisheko rampaging through the lineup of Penta right now. They're so far back in their base, I don't think they might even have a chance. The trap is set. Which route do you take? The one up high. Smart, patient here from Fisheko. Finally detonates it. Down go the shields. There's going to be a re-engage here from Penta. 4 or 5 ultimates for them if they need to use them to defend. Who finds the first pick, though? Vex 30. He came up big yesterday on the Fury. Is he able to do it again today? It's a 1-for-1 gore.
I mean, a couple of shots right here. This trade's going to mean more than anything, and that's going to be a good enlightenment to keep Arrays in this fight, and that means some good, consistent damage from this Leon.
He's backing off right now. Dosups knows that he's in the back line. Can he win this engage? Inara's damage is pretty sneaky, nearly going down. The healing's there, though. Simsalu's going to get aggressive. They're going to push out on the defensive end. Still 35 seconds remaining in this one, though. That was not the end fight. It looked like it could have gone through. Virtus.Pro very close, but they'll have another shot at a retake of the payload and point number 2.
And I'm glad you pointed out the timer. That felt like an end fight. Yeah. That felt very much, and admittedly for Virtus.Pro, it is. We are trying to close this out. A little bit coming down from Penta. Well, a lot of it coming down from Penta. They dropped the Dome Shield. They used the Hyper Beam. They used the Dread Serpent.
Yeah.
And you get Virtus.Pro drops in that fight. Only the Assert Dominance, that's perfectly fine. On their end, they're going to be able to charge everything up. And that Inflame's probably the biggest thing. Vex has been having an impact without it. Put it back on there for next round, whether or not they get this push, and that's solid.
They'll likely get him first. Enlightenment ripping through a couple. Simsalu has been hit or miss on the Mave this game so far. He gets the Torvald bubble this time with overtime ticking away. It's only Dosups left alive. This one is going to expire. Penta hold firm on the defense. Virtus.Pro, though, snag the first mid-fight. And their ultimates are ready. The Penta ultimates are a little bit more delayed coming through here, so an initial immediate advantage goes the way of Virtus.Pro, but the longer the fight maybe goes out, they allow themselves to poke just a little bit. Penta's going to have some of those ultimates up and ready as well.
And Inflame is very good because, again, the strategy Penta are looking for last time is a good early flank that they didn't get. They wipe almost all immediately. And Inflame is going to stop you from finding early picks as well. Like, if you get into a 1v1 and Furia pops Inflame and you don't have the Torvald bubble, one side's going to win that fight. And it is not going to be Penta coming through. So they have a little bit more, I think, riding on this just to perform excellently the entire time versus what Virtus.Pro have, which is just do what you did again.
Yep. The damage charts tell a lopsided story. Penta on the defensive end was able to absorb a lot of pressure there. Some long-range shots from Erase put him about double of anyone else in the game. A little bit less if you put Accentra into account. But top 3 are blue here. Virtus.Pro maybe need to get aggressive right off the bat. Inflame's going to do it, but it gets immediately traded out on the side of Fisheko. The Midnight counters things out just a little bit. Erases in the backline. He's alive. He has Torvald bubbles. He has damage. Is he able to rip through the rest of Virtus.Pro right now? Their health bars are shrinking by the second. Erase is still alive, only half damage, but the healing is good for him. Simsalu cleans some up. Erase is unstoppable, and Penta win the mid-fight.
And just being able to find that Bomb King before anything happens. Fisheko not being there means that fight is a lot easier to win, and making sure that continues. Simsalu, that trade is 100% worth it every step of the way. He got the ground he needed, and he got the kill he wanted. Vex might be able to return something, and they will be able to get a touch, but you get free percentage tick every second that Bomb King's not there.
Well, Fisheko's been like the saving grace in so many of these fights for Virtus.Pro, so trading him out initially is huge. This kill onto Erase could be big. The Enlightenment just to buy some time. Fisheko finds the bombs onto Erase. Overtime is in favor of Penta here. No room for error if you're Virtus.Pro. Simsalu, he's staying alive though. Mobility's keeping him there. The shield as well. Down comes the Assert Dominance. Pule buys a little bit of time for Virtus.Pro.
Just doing whatever he can again. Staying alive. King Bomb gonna roll through, which is gonna buy some space on the other side. Crunchy and Simsy though, alive, and that's honestly all you need. No bubble here, so Simsy's going in, maybe at a disadvantage, but he's finding the shots because he's got a raise.
The daggers miss, but the shots are good from the Leon. Pule could be the next to fall here. The stun from Bulka is going to see to it. The retake attempt is coming in from Penta, and it's looking good right now. Dosif has to stay alive, but there's no healing. The healing is limited. The bubbles are still around. Vex is the last man standing, and wouldn't you believe it, Penta have point number 2.
And they're doing everything in their power to corral this and control this, and they're doing it in the perfect way. It's always Fish Echo now. They recognize what went wrong the first round, and they put a cap on it fast as they possibly could. They just won't let him breathe. He is almost constantly getting harassed, and that's such a good strategy because, yes, Hekate's been hitting some amazing shots. The first round he was impactful, but he was living off the damage that was being dealt by Fish Echo. Right now, on his own, it's not enough to bite back.
Clipping those wings, essential for Virtus.Pro here. The first choke point being approached. The Midnight comes through from Penta. They want to go right now. The long-range daggers are good. Vex is the first to go. No more healing for Virtus.Pro. Simsalute dancing around back and forth, hitting every single dagger. Fish Echo on the high ground is able to trade one out, but it's not going to matter. It's a 4 for 5, or I should say a 1 for 5. And Penta are rounding the final corner, pushing downhill, hoping to bring this one to one final point.
One hit right here is really all you need.
That's
you
all you
need to
need.
get the dismounts. That's going to be good control already. But if you can get a kill, you can walk this in. You do have Dome Shield coming up in
Dread Serpent
just
as well.
a second. So you have control in your favor if you need it.
The Dread Serpent forces some back. Vex is so low. He raised, gets aggressive, gets the kill, but trades himself out. Pule still alive. Dosups as well. He's on the payload, but all the daggers are hitting him. He can't dance behind his wall because Simsalute can go over it. It could go in. Vex, Fish Echo have to back off. And Penta, they're 1 point away from 2-0.
And even I would even argue a little BM there at the end from Simsy. He ran, he recognized how much health he had with that shield and was taking a little bit of tick damage from the base of Virtus.Pro. Got aggressive, got in their face, did exactly, again, what they needed to do, which is this. Like this, you could replay, like, I think 10 different fights where it starts off with Fish Echo dying. He was almost always the first kill, and almost always that was the best clean start. Hekate can do a ton of damage. You can see him on the side. I think he's even going for some kills. And I was worried originally when this was happening. No one's looking at him. No one was trying to deal with him. They didn't need to. Xintra just kind of turned, got the 2 shots he needed, got another kill at 9-4 and 10 right now. It's 66,000 damage. Like, this front line is proving his worth more and more every single day. Everyone
on Penta is filling the role that they need to. Bolka, 20 streak. You have to mention the healer if he has that much uptime. It keeps them alive. They have the Torvald bubble, but that doesn't matter if you die anyway. The 1v1, a little bit countered out there. Fish Echo and Erase both getting the better of one another in that case. Having to dash out now is Fish Echo on the back line, but Erase stays alive and cleans up the Bomb King. That's sort of been the go button for Virtus.Pro. They've needed Fish Echo in these fights, and now they don't have him. Hekate is able to drop the Leon, but Simsalu's still alive. Xintra and Bolka, though, they have kills 1 and 2.
There's a fight on the side over here, actually exactly where it happened, where Simsy got out with just 1 little bar of health. That's all he needed, though. It was 1 shot away, and it wasn't enough. King Bomb being channeled. That's free damage right now, and he jumps away from the detonation.
No. It's 93%. Virtus.Pro have to go now, but they're trying to choke it out. They're standing on the point. Dosups runs right down mid. Seismic Crash gets a stun onto Xintra, but he raises a line alive in the back line. Double kill, triple kill. The Leon is running wild. Overtime's going to expire, and Penta win 4-1.
I mean, I don't know how to word it other than just clean control. They knew where they needed to put the pressure. They did it in round 2. They did it again in round 3. There were so many small fights, though. Virtus.Pro let Simsalute get away with barely any health. They let Erase in that one engagement against Fish Echo slip away with barely any health. Granted, that was more of a trade. It was Fish Echo saying, I got to get out of here before this guy kills me. Erase said the same thing about Fish Echo. So dipping and then coming back and getting the kill. I think that's another big thing is just Bomb King couldn't be present. Hekate never got to find the true shots he wanted.
They built a composition around Erase. They said, you need to step up here in this case, and step up he did. Not only did he do the most damage, he won that final mid fight for him. 2-0 Penta, 2 games away from your finals desk. Oh my.
Oh my, oh me, oh my. Oh, Dave, thank you so much for the toss. Nick, very, very incredible game by Penta. They have dominated these 2 games in different ways, but it's all ended in the same result. They are looking like a team that should be in the finals.
It felt like their game to lose the whole time. Yeah. And to be fair, they did lose that first round, right? That Gore hit the nail on the head. That flank just took too long. Hekate's stealth on the Shaolin was too impactful, and he played it very smart, played it very patiently. But you look at nobody cracks 50k damage on Virtus.Pro. Penta's Erase was over 100,000. I mean, damage isn't everything.
Off, man.
Damage isn't everything. But that amount of discrepancy is crazy to see. There's a lot that is invested in him, but I actually, 18-7, Torvald Leon, We've seen it before. Erase is a nutter butter. I do want to give a quick shout out to Simsolo and Excentra, though, for doing as well as they did without the Torf pocket.
And look at this. Erase just being so confident. And it's one thing to be confident and be overconfident and kind of show that, that pride is something that's carrying me a little bit more than my skill. But his skill is doing most of the talking here. And he's been a guy to watch out for. Always had great performances in the minor league. You never quite knew how good he was. But, man, this has given us a new perspective.
Clean, on point. Stepped up in a lot of big ways, especially down the stretch. Early game was tough for him, but he absolutely put it back together when it mattered most down the stretch. I think Excentra, Simsolo, Bolta, and the rest of the boys did a phenomenal job at getting him to that point and keeping him in the game long enough to dial it back in and just be the player we know he can be.
Really amazing stories here. And we've talked so much about him. We've talked so much about Simsolo, and we've talked so much about Penta in general. I asked them yesterday, what does it mean to be in the minor league and have these types of performances? And for him, it was more of just like saying, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you are and where you start. You can do anything given the opportunity. And that's something that not only did they get given, they earned it. They took it. They performed so well in the minor league. This is theirs for the taking.
This is a really, really solid squad. I would love to see this team in the PPL and see what they're able to do, where they would end up sitting. I know everyone has really, really improved markedly, especially these international teams, Kanga and Virtus.Pro, with the amount of time and just the amount of caliber of practice that you get being here so often and for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, you completely evolve into a different beast, and as strong as Penta already are, they would become terrifying if they were allowed to get that caliber of practice that often.
And what's interesting is that the way the PPL works, people will want to add some of these players to their current rosters. And the conversation is, well, there's something special about everybody, the way they're working together. And who knows if it's this dynamic duo, but, that Leon isn't the same without that Torvald doing it with her, right? And that's the key. Cruncy, Erase, Simsy, Bolka, Excentra, the way these guys are working as a unit is probably the most impressive thing that I'm seeing here in a big-time LAN moment. Not everyone is experienced at LAN, and they're showing up.
I'd love to see them get picked up as a whole. You know what I mean?
I don't want
to break up the band.
Break up the band. Come on, man. It's like when Nick Lachey, well, not Nick Lachey. Who is it? It's the Backstreet Boys. No, it's NSYNC. Justin Timberlake.
I will be of no help
Justin
to you.
Timberlake, and then the other guy, JC Chavez. He went out. JC Chazé. He went out, and, Justin Timberlake, obviously, he has a solo career that's great, but JC was like, oh, boy, go back to NSYNC. Overall, it doesn't always work out that way. Joey Fatone, don't get me started on Joey Fatone. Chris Lance Bass, our production.
Blake needs a little picture.
He really does.
Pictured.
Coming in at the bottom, and Blake,
I swear to God, I want that to be a thing.
Make it happen.
Because we do have a lot of good conversations with Blake in the back, and it's just, it makes no sense to you guys as viewers, and I get that, but you got to trust us when we say it's worth it.
It's worth it.
And they're not going anywhere. Khan, Drogos, Barrick, first three locked in for VP. On the other side, Penta have already grabbed themselves Inara and Cassie. If Erase just gets a Leon and Cassie all day, man, it's going to be a rough one for VP.
And, it's really hard to pick both without really shifting your draft, I think.
Together, we are
and that's clearly not what they're prioritizing here. And that's part of what Simsy does is he forces you to ban blasters and ban things like Pip, even though he is a blaster, but he's almost in a special category of blaster. And he could still do well on whatever is left available. And it opens stuff up for Erase because that's not being prioritized as much. So it's just a great synergy they have. Well, I know that Hecate is in a really interesting position.
Houston? Okay. Anyway, we're back. They picked Fernando over Ash on Ice Mines. I don't know. I get that it's Ice Mines, but still, that's a top-tier pick that Cruncy has performed.
They're playing off Immortal,
admittedly,
right?
very, very well off. It must be
Dragon
that.
Punch
They
Immortal
have to
combo.
be really invested. And Cruncy did have, and I think has had the only Fernando of this event.
True.
Very impactful at that. So if there's a guy that I trust to do it, I guess it would be him. And time to pick out the Bomb King. We talked about the Pip. We've also talked about the Bomb King, and now you'll get the chance to see it. Played a lot of Maeve this set as well. Simsolo wearing a lot of different hats in the Paladins cast.
It's interesting because I'm not sure this is a bad lineup for VP. It's actually quite a good one, although the picks come in different orders, and Drogos now has the chance to get countered by the Fernando, but it is going to have to be what turns this set around. I mean, we saw how difficult it was. Even SSG winning that nice 4-0.
Yeah.
Second they got into Jaguar Falls, and it was like, oh, man, this is going to be a tough one to really beat NIP. You can't let Penta go 3-0 up after 2-0 start here. Nick, what's the play? How do you do it? What is the catalyst for winning this matchup?
I think it's just if Hecate can find a spot to just get big uptime on Vivian, man. We've seen Erase did it to Na'Vi. Absolutely possible that Hecate could do it to Penta.
All right, well, let's send it down to your casters. I don't have to cast this one. It's Ice Mines in Game 3.
You can if you want, Evan. Come on down. But it's going to be Gornai down to Ice Mines.
Ice is right.
Ice Mines it is. Who would have thunk it, Gore? Penta up 2-0 over Virtus.Pro. One, not a matchup we expected. Two, maybe not even a result we expected. We're getting to that do or die time now. You know, 2-0, you still have a few games to pull it back. You're not totally against the wall. But if this one goes the way of Penta, you are.
Virtus.Pro, though, here, in my eyes, it's a little more Ice Mines-centric for their draft, whereas Penta, they have Comfort, Ice Mines, and Counter kind of deal. Like, it's like they have a little bit of everything in there that they want. Fernando's probably going to be the biggest thing, and again, as they were saying on the desk, Crunchy's the one who's made it work. Probably the best of it. Pretty much anybody I've seen playing Fernando. I didn't even give it this split just in general.
Oh, my.
And that's a good first blood.
Oh, he stays alive, too. Vex finally with an axe. Drops Simsalou, but he's shown that on the Bomb King. It's a force to be reckoned with. A good stun comes through there. Penta, though, 39%. That initial aggressive push was enough to get them 39% on the point here. Virtus.Pro able to counter back. It's can you stop Simsalou on this Bomb King from going wild? Can you then do it and turn around and find damage onto Erase? All the while dealing with the frontline power that Penta have shown up to this point. Boy, taking a little bit of damage. Needs to wrap around the corner. Not able to clean him up just yet.
I mean, they're doing something that, as much as I hate to say it, I feel like Virtus.Pro just doesn't have. Hecate has the capabilities to carry, but he doesn't do it as often when he's not on Leon, when he's not on Cassie. Canessas is what we used to see, like snipers. Hit scan, which was his bread and butter. It's perfect for him. And so a lot more pressure's on Fish Echo. You get a good Dragon Punch, you get rid of Simsy, you open up this door to be a lot easier for your team.
Yeah, but they're going to answer back with an Inflame, but there was already too much aggression. That's a good wall from Excentra. Stop the point of attack from Virtus.Pro, but Fish Echo, those fire spits could hit so hard. Bolka within an inch of his life. He's able to escape, but Fasheko, he has the exit patterns covered. Dashing in as he raised to stop the overtime, but the kills, they're still coming up blue.
Got overtime. Simsy should be coming back into the fight, and he's going to be able to get one. Looking for another if he can come around. It's still overtime.
Oh,
has to go for the
doesn't
touch.
get the touch.
And that's the unfortunate thing. Not only not getting the touch, but having to die for it.
Yeah.
I think showcasing, again, part of the nuances. What is good, what is not about Ice Mines point fight.
This is important for Virtus.Pro to strike first here. Penta have shown that they can snowball, especially on Ice Mines. I think that's exaggerated a little bit. The snowball can really roll far downhill on this map. 1-0 the way of Virtus.Pro. They're already getting this payload moving forward. I think that final pick on Simsalou allowed them to push forward just a little bit extra and not get trapped back in their own half.
I mean, it's one of those few, I want to say key moments where it is like, as long as you get a pick, really, on this map at any point in time, that's going to give you a lot of room. I mean, even here, this payload, the only reason it's not going forward is because Crunchy and Simsy are still able to do a ton of damage. And there's a sneaky little Erase way back there in the back line that's distracting Virtus.Pro. It's kind of a fight on two fronts right now for them. But like most things, whenever you're fighting in the snow on two fronts, usually it tends to go down. History will teach you that.
Well, they know he's here, but he's actually able to come in and maybe stagger out. Luckily, Vex dancing around a little bit, wins that engage. That's a 3-for-0. Payload getting close here. Pule dropping Bolka as well. No healing for 10 seconds. If they're able to stagger all of these out, Frenzy has to dash out. His health bar gets deleted, though. Up in the top rope is Simsalou on the Bomb King trying to rain down some fire. The Grumpy Bomb forces Virtus.Pro back for the moment. The wall as well mitigates a good bit of damage. No more Sentinels, but with Excentra going down, no more contest. And Virtus.Pro go up 2-0 for the first time this set.
They truly needed that in order to
it.
not only just stabilize, but feel good about themselves. That's, I think, the biggest thing is when you're down 2-0, especially in this kind of set, and very much bearing in mind what we said earlier on the desk, in a best-of-7 for the entire split of the PPL, not a single team that was down 3-0 won a set. They never came back. There was never a reverse sweep. 3-1, usually if they get maps 2 or 3. right? 2-1 going to a 3-1, or I guess 2-0 somehow turning into a 3-1, or a 1-1 turning into a 3-1. Any of those scenarios where it does end up like that. We've had a couple teams fight back, but it's very difficult. If Penta win this map, Virtus.Pro put themselves in the toughest position. If they win this, they at least stabilize and can hold on a little bit longer. But now, comeback mechanics there for Penta, so
And they got Master
gotta
Riding.
play it careful.
For what it's worth, Master Riding gets Virtus.Pro in position a little bit earlier. Pacheco had a great mid-fight last time around, making full use of those slim corridors and the combustible Drogos. The Fire Spit doing a little bit of extra damage, as well as knocking back. King Bomb rips through right into the Dome Shield, though. Well placed there by the Barrack. Pule as well drops Erase. Simsalou is gone. Those are your 2-star players no longer in this fight. Crunty has to burn the Immortal, but there's nobody left to keep him alive with Bolka going down. And that's a convincing fight from Virtus.Pro. 5 streaked out members and 57% on the point to boot.
I think it's just one of those things. Penta, their draft right now doesn't feel Ice Mines. It feels like it's Simsalou, and it's just a little bit of a counter. A little bit here, a little bit there. But they're forced to use the Immortal in awkward positions. They're forced to use this Inflame and the King Bomb, and neither of them got, well, anything at all for the team. Whereas Virtus.Pro just played the same round they played before, just maybe exaggeratingly faster than they did the round before.
That's a beautiful seismic crash. Stuns up a few. On the back of it, Penta's going to be able to find the kills. It almost seems like Virtus.Pro have a lineup that's perfect for their play style here in these mid-fights. And they swung the ultimates first and effectively. And the picks were, I mean, on top of it, I mean, I can yes and that team fight for Virtus.Pro. Let's drop Erase first. All right, he's been a key player. Let's drop Simsalou as well after that. The ultimates all on top of it, all effective for Virtus.Pro. This is honestly the most convincing we've maybe seen Penta lose this entire tournament.
I mean, even the only other map they've lost at this point was the Sour team, and even then, I believe it was a 4-3 if I remember correctly.
Close.
So,
It was close.
It's one of those moments where that was a team that plays each other constantly all the time. That's a really good Dragon Punch, but into a really good stun from Bolka. And now they're going Inflame. They want to hold this as best as they can right here.
Has to counter out with the Whirlwind. Behind the shield goes Simsalou here. 275 health, no healing to be found. Doseps wraps the corner, gets the kill. It looks like this one's still going to go the way of Virtus.Pro, just to get back to the payload, though. However, Ice Mines, if you can get now these intermittent trades with the 5-man advantage, a little bit slightly staggered as Penta, they'll be able to regroup. They won't want to show their face. You'll want to save the overpower for next round if you can. The Sentinels will recharge as you have them out. The Dragon Punch gets used to break that hold as well. This is a position where Virtus.Pro up 3-0. I think they'll be okay if this doesn't go in as long as they have their ultimates for the next mid-fight.
A couple of good shots.
Oh,
that
nice.
was beautiful coming down. And Pacheco, I mean, this is one of the ones he made a name for him. He does it twice in a row. Are you kidding? And now he's hitting these long-range shots. That's going to be a good overpower. This might just go in.
Pacheco has a backpack on, and the rest of Virtus.Pro are jumping in, at least in this back push right now. The payload getting very close. 2 kills, still staggered out, no healing. Crunty has to get in there. He has the Immortal, which will buy him some time, but it goes right into the Dome Shield. That's going to allow them to get back out. The Dragon Punch is ready as well. They'll want to use their ultimates if they can win the game. The Fire Spit rips through. In comes the Dragon Punch right onto Accentra. That's all they need. Virtus.Pro strike back and make this series 2-1.
That's a hell of a way to balance it out, too. It's not going to be 2-2 just yet, but you fight back, and you fight back with a 4-0. That is important, not only for them. Kate, I believe, I'm waiting for it, because he's normally the one who stands up. The rest of the team stand up. He has to go to the bathroom after every single one of these. But it's just those moments. A lot of high-intensity play. Of course, Penta, I feel like, at least looking at Simsy's face, is kind of taking as a chip on the shoulder, like, yeah, we lost one. It was Ice Mines. Let's see what we do on the next one.
And that's, I don't know, there's something satisfying about combustible Drogos. Like, you hit a good fire spit.
I thought you were going to say a 4-0 Ice Mines.
Well, 4-0 Ice Mines as well. Everything is convincing this time around. Virtus.Pro with an important answer back here. Just stalls out Penta a little bit. They need to do it 3 more times to go on to your finals. Can they do it? Let's find out on the desk.
Interesting. Not only the fact that they lost, not only that it was so efficient, but it was their first loss, as you mentioned, Nick, of the entire MSI.
Yeah. Got to remember, they went completely undefeated in the play-in bracket, completely undefeated against Na'Vi. I mean, that was the most stunning part about this run. But now it's like, yes, it was a 4-0, and hopefully this is it's that clean break. They're not too worried about it. But how do they take this loss? We haven't have to see them play from a losing position. And Ice Mines might just be not their map, man. I think there's a good chance that that's what happened here.
It's a good map for VP too. They definitely had some of those amazing moments on there. Vex popped off on the Genos. It's so memorable for all of us. But you see Fishy do well. You see Pule 10-2. He went 0-12 in game 1. I think there's something to that. If ever you get a con on your team and he goes 0-12 when he could easily be going 8-2, 10-2, even 6-2, you've got a problem. It seems like they've managed it. And now ball back in Penta's court. This is a much better 4-0 because it's 2-1. You don't have that 3-1, Nick, where it feels almost like impossible, even though you just did this. They're right back in it.
Well, fortunately, we do have a good look at the final round team fight. Not that ended the game, but that started the offense that ended the game. And Ice Mines is just the perfect map for this. We'll go ahead and roll this clip. Slow it down to half speed once the players get into relevant team fight territory. And I just love a good thing. So you notice everybody's got their little icons up so you can kind of see who everyone is through the walls. Now things are starting to get interesting. You see Fernando try and push through. Pule, he's going to look to fight down here around the kill volume, man. This is where he's going to butter his bread. He's going to be able to throw Inara off of the map, or anyone else for that matter. Overpower's available. Ultimate economy is about equal for both teams, so you're not looking at one team to completely bulldozer over the other, but you see really two skirmishes happening here. In and out immediately, lands the overpower. Pule gets one insta-gib, and he's kind of low HP, so Inara feels good pushing him here. Pule, perfect positioning. This is what we're watching right here, folks, down in the bottom corner. This is where things are going to start to get interesting. Not only does he throw and overpower this Cassie off of the cliff, Immortal comes out to try and salvage this fight for Penta, but the quick flip with the commander's grab, that's a non-ultimate ability. Pule only scores two solo kills all on his own, makes a nice rotation to join his team, and that pretty much does it. We can roll this one at full speed from here on out because it's just all VP on the zone. This is what you want to do on Ice Mines, though, especially when you don't have the comeback mechanic. It's very important for you to get out in front, dismount people. You saw how many master ridings were picked up. Master riding is relevant on Fish Market and Ice Mines, nowhere really else. It's kind of niche outside of that, but that zone is incredibly potent and important on those maps.
Well, it's one of those things, Nick, where you could break all of it down, but at the end of the day, they just had so much success in that map. It's like a different type of matchup. It's almost a different team. This is not what we saw in games 1 and 2, and so now it's changed the dynamic quite heavily here as we head to Bright Marsh. This is a great map for momentum. It's a great map to have a 4-0 yet again, but we've seen both these games go 4-1, 4-1, 4-0. Do you expect something similar here, and what are the adjustments that Penta need to make now?
I'm looking out at what's left in the map pool, because Penta are a team that comes from the minor league. We're talking about how they play at the PPL caliber, but it doesn't change the fact that their entire season has been played on best of fives. They probably don't get pushed to very awkward situations. Most of their sets are done in 3, so they play their core maps and they move on with their day. Now that this is a best of 7, that looks like it could start to go a little bit into the later stages. Ice Mines has already been pulled out. What else do VP have in the pick? But Penta have just set themselves up in a good spot. If they can just win the rest of their map picks, they will be A-okay. They will grab this set 4-2, and they can move on to the finals. Not something I thought that I would say when the MSI kicked off, but the bans are locked in. Torvald, Genos gone. Makoa, Atlas will be taking a seat as well in Penta, now with the first pick.
And it's something that
might be time for some Eevee.
It could be. I feel like, if you don't take Con here, what are you doing? What's going on in the world? We've seen Ash first pick sometimes in these situations. And Raze and the rest of the squad thinking about it's going to be the Inara. Wow, that is definitely interesting, showing how the current meta of this set has really shifted for these two teams.
Yeah, people love their Barrack Genos, so with Genos gone, maybe that devalues Barrack a little bit. But they know VP do love it, so again, the point front line is impactful. Doseps and Excentra are incredible players that have had resounding impacts in this game.
Yep.
But the first pick prioritization, I think either of these point frontliners are okay getting either. We'll see what the rest of this composition holds for Penta. That might be a little bit more telling as to why they prioritize this so early. Barking back with the Cassie, though, is a great way to start. Grab Con as well, force them onto the Ash. Big game is a pretty good counter to both of those front lines.
Overpower is great against Inara, who really can't avoid it at all. She can't really run away from it, and she does have some CC immunity, which is great, and we've seen the Earthen Guard play spoiler do a lot of the pips. Ask Tenor and NIP, they say just stop ulting the Inara every time. she ends up grabbing,
I can
putting those
get
two
us
arms
out of
together
here
and
alive.
saying, no, no,
Stay
not
close and
today.
follow my lead.
Ash is going to get picked up here, so again, prioritized.
If you need help,
And it's the
don't
Ying.
hesitate to ask.
This is interesting here. What a unique kind of first three.
Well, a lot of times you see Ying come through because she does not have a CC-based ultimate like Maldamba, and with 2 stun frontline ultimates already online, resilience is going to be in the game for Virtus.Pro. So they don't want to overcommit to hard crowd control that's just getting super mitigated late game. Ying at least still brings more throughput, spreadability. It's all good stuff and just something to kind of keep in mind of and counterplay a bit. But still, what's the heart and soul of this Penta lineup? Pip and Eevee still are available.
So is Maven Leon.
Maven Leon as well. No damage amp on the floor. Tyra has been surprisingly sparse in this tournament. Yeah, not a lot of people going to her, given especially how much she was looked at in the final couple of weeks of the Premier League specifically.
I will
Wow, well, it's the Vivian. That'll be great with some illusions. It'll be
Welcome
great,
to the
obviously,
mean sweets,
if
kitten.
the Illusory Rift comes through. She's got the shielding. She's got so much damage. She'll win a lot of trades in that situation. Maeve as well is going to give a ton of room for Simsalou to really go over the top of the hut of Brightmarsh and really pressure out the back line, which is a very big body, an easy target to hit with those daggers. Grover. It's really up to VP here to try to turn the ties. There is Leon available. They could go for some hit scan to try to stop out some of that flank pressure.
And now that we see the entirety of the Penta lineup, I'm still, it's not jumping out to me why they go for the
All
first
ladies.
pick Inara. Could be that. Could absolutely be the girl power squad. Perhaps to try and force VP into a double shielding front line and get this Vivian later in the game. Vivian obliterates shields, and that could be something that they look to use.
Look how hard you're
If it was
trying.
something that was just
How
frustrating for them to
embarrassing.
play against on Ice Mines, they kind of had the merits of this pick reminded and refreshed. Maybe it's recency bias. Who can say for sure?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good lineup. I'm just not sure, again, at the order at which it comes in is a little bit questioning me for Penta. I think Akate, if he's on point with this big game Cassie, I think VP can take this one.
Yeah, I mean, VP have the composition you'd expect in a game of pro Paladins. Penta have a composition you wouldn't really expect, especially in the way that it was conceived with what they were able to pick instead, considering the Damba could have paired. But obviously, there's just a ton of throughput, and maybe they're taking things away that they're worried about playing against. We'll have to see. Penta getting a little interesting here, and you would expect that Virtus.Pro slightly caught off guard, but hopefully they're prepared enough as they head into Game 4, trying to tie this up against the minor league squad.
Penta still out in front. Boy, I have to break for that one. Feeling good. I'm sure after the last game, he's feeling good as well. He had a tough 0-15 showing on the con one of the past couple of games. Bounces back in a big way last time around. Honestly, a come-out performance, honestly, in this set. Not necessarily as a player, but in this set, getting himself comfortable and being finally in a game where he's one of the main reasons that they win, and they put him on the con again. Hopefully, in his eyes, he's riding high still after that last one.
I think showcasing how much Excentra loves the Inara, how much even though Barrick's been working well for them, they value it on Brightmarsh, considering they first pick Inara over the con, something we don't get to see too often. And, I mean, I kind of agree with the desk. The only thing I can think about the reason, like, you go Ying over Damba there, the reason you kind of go for it is they just have so many ults that are affected by resilience. You got to get some in there that aren't, and that's where Sentinels come in. That's where this Ying, the Illusory Rift, comes in to just help alleviate some of that pressure, so you might be able to kind of skirt one of either side.
Boy is zoning out a good few members of Penta on the backside here. He's going low. Has to be careful here, but Virtus.Pro now basically know where everyone on the side of Penta is, with Excentra taking up the mantle on the point, but they were able to garner 66% already. No kills coming through just as of yet. The commander shout, he has one in front, one behind, but first blood, he runs down, he rays. Crunchy's able to pull things back even, but it's a Vivian for a con. Simsalou down as well. That's normally a death sentence when Simsalou and Rays are gone, and at 90%, Virtus.Pro are in a driving seat towards point number 1.
Yeah, it's just been, again, very similar to the beginning of Shattered Desert. It just kind of felt like it was all over the place here for Penta, where a little bit of a skirmish over there, a little bit of a fight here, and it's one of those things with Virtus.Pro, like, they're a incredibly solid team, but I feel like Penta need, especially whichever team, honestly, at this point is going to the finals, needs to close it out pretty convincingly for the rest of the way.
It's a head doink on the assert dominance on the backside. Excentra not able to make his way through that doorway right there. First strike goes away Virtus.Pro as well. Nick said Hecate needs to have a big game. I agree with him. Up to this point, he has been as well. And Vex really prioritizing the Grover as well today, Gore. It's obviously a champion he's comfortable on, and he's been performing up to his standards, I'd say.
I mean, being able to get it up to this level, it's actually one of the few maps, again, where it's going to look really good. Last map, your fights all in one area. You're not really ever going to feel outside of the range of the Grover. Same thing goes here. Most of your fights are in one area. He has to maybe vine across a small hallway to get to the other side of the map. Like, you're almost always going to be close enough for him to be able to make sure you're topped off. And if you're not, everyone on this team has enough mobility to get right next to him and get back to the fight.
And that's exactly it right there. Vex able to get in, get healing. Hecate nearly taken down. The bash backwards from Simsalou. I should say from the Ashe on the opposite side. A double kill for the Maeve. Accenture and Erase throwing their hat into the ring as well. That's a good fight back. And now they look to zone Virtus.Pro. With a minute 20 seconds left, that payload was starting to round that corner. If Virtus.Pro were able to win that fight, we would have been getting dangerous on the side of Penta. Oh, that's a good overpower. Just sneaks his way through. Gets it onto Simsalou. Dosups, excuse me, is going to get that kill. This is just a fight back to get to the payload. They used everything, though, on Penta. They used everything to try to stop that, to try to stagger that out. Virtus.Pro throw out the overpower, but still have 4 ultimates to maybe push this one in.
The biggest thing is looking at how those get used. With a minute left, if you can just hold on, burn that timer as long as possible, at least get this to overtime, you charge up all of those ults on that side. But that's a huge Evil Mojo.
Oh, it's massive! Triple Evil Mojo. All 3 of them are going to get cleaned up here. Accentra's left out to dry. A little bit of healing, but Hecate's going to come up big. A double kill, a killing spree for the Cassie. All on the back of an Evil Mojo from Pacheco. That sets him up beautifully. There will be respawns, but once you jump down from this high ground with no mobility, you cannot get back up. Crunty is going to be the first frontliner to fall. That's going to do it. And Virtus.Pro Gore, they only have to use the Evil Mojo. The Cassie ultimate, the Scout did come in from Virtus.Pro, but they only burned 1 ultimate. It was good enough that they didn't need any more.
Yeah, I can't. If you ever told me there was a scenario where you got 3 people with an Evil Mojo, followed up and got 3 kills on those 3 people, and you had to use another ult to convert, then your team's doing something wrong, or the other team did something in conversion, because that's just pure.
Oh my.
And it's 3 people getting the kills, right? That call out, once it comes down, every eye on Virtus.Pro is on those chickens, and every amount of damage they can dump out finds those kills. And across the board, it's only 4,500. You can deal that pretty easily across them. 1,500 here, sprinkle it there. Bada bing, bada boom. Hecate 6-1 and 7.
And you know, Poulet at 1-3 and 8. I mean, it's a bit of an unflattering slash line, but he's been doing a lot of these scouting work, jokes aside, with a Cassie on their side. But he's been the one in that last fight. You know, you saw how aggressive he's playing. Wraps around the corner, says, "Hey, by the way, there's 3 guys here. Good Evil Mojo could win us this fight." Does the same again. First one to fall in this one. Erase is going to back off here. Assert dominance to the high ground. Gets a couple stuns. They're forced back right now. Erase is looking to run down the rest of the Virtus.Pro lineup. And it's looking like with fast cap, Penta are going to be in a good position here.
I mean, a couple of good kills right there. Double for Simsalou. And doing exactly what Virtus.Pro were doing last round, although this time, I would say in a more convincing manner. It's not like a drawn-out fight where you just happen to have control of the point. It's a control of everything from here to the point. Every portion of this. Right now, Virtus.Pro control 25% of the map, maybe?
Yep. But they, I mean, I said it's interesting because they used Dome Shield and Whirlwind, the 2 ultimates that were ready at the start of that. The Assert Dominance in the Midnight, I guess, came in as well. Nice double stun there. Sets up Simsalou. Simsalou dunks it in. A nice alley-oop play from Penta. Pacheco, Poulet, and Hecate going down as quickly as Virtus.Pro converted last time. Penta maybe doing it a little bit quicker. Once Dosups goes down, and with the Sentinels, the dismounts from the high ground will be easier for Erase, and the damage that he's able to chunk out will be good.
I mean, this is the angle. We've seen Simsy go on and on Brian Marshall several times.
Yep.
Doesn't bounce to the balcony where his normal safe house is.
Off to the back.
But
didn't even know you could go there.
There. There's what, 2-3 champions maybe that can get there regularly, and Maeve is one of them if he chooses to try and bounce back there. But he's holding this left-hand side, the left-hand room, as they're just pumping damage into it. And honestly, if you get rid of Poulet, you significantly increase your chances of pushing this out.
Virtus.Pro have 4 ults, everything except the Dome Shield. On the opposite side, Penta have 1 ult, only the Midnight. A 1-for-1 trade. A second goes the way of Pacheco. And this is a tall order. Make no mistake for Virtus.Pro here. Still a minute left. The payload goes down. You have to have basically a fight where ideally both of your front lines stay alive to contest that payload here for the rest of the game. 2, maybe 3 more goes at it here for Penta. They'll have ultimates maybe around the second chance. Virtus.Pro, ideally, don't use anything. But at 2-1, this is important. If Virtus.Pro will be on set point, or I should say, excuse me, game point, not set point quite yet. Still need to tie it up, but could tie it up if they're able to win this defense.
I mean, all they have is a little bit. That's good pressure. Pule does trade his life for it, but Xintra, Simsalou, that's exactly what you need right now. If you are VP to try and find this up, at least to put yourself at a 3-1. 30 seconds left, and depending on whether or not they want to go some Master Ridings, that would speed things up, but they have plenty of time to get back. It just depends on how much you want to dive. I mean, like, Xintra, the payload is essentially jumping onto a grenade. How badly do you want to do that right now?
Raze will have enough for Cot 3 if he wants next time he goes back to base. Illusory Rift starts things off for Penta here, backing up his Virtus.Pro, trying to let that time out. Dosups, though, catches one too many daggers. Simsalou's going to see that as an opportunity to wrap around the corner here. 3 members up on the high ground. I'm not sure if they know he's in the back line, but it doesn't matter. Pule has no health to contest. And Penta tie this one up.
VP had 4 people alive there. Like, Pule got pushed back.
I think they traded
but no
out.
one else. Yeah,
I think they traded out Doe, and then Pule was just too low, and they, I guess, just wanted to stay alive.
Yeah, at that point, you're just hiding around. There's not enough time, I think, to jump down. It's more like, again, you're diving onto a grenade, except this time in reverse. You're not saving anybody. You're just kind of jumping down, stalling out the timer. And now you letting that go in puts it on equal playing field. But when you look at the slash lines again, I mean, 5-3-11, 5-3-12, 4-3-16, 7-3-12. And then 299. Like, it comes down to where is Pule versus where is Cruncy. I think Cruncy that round with Simsy did a lot more than we saw at a Pule with Fishy.
You know, I think Pule had a fine round 1 despite, again, an unflattering slash line. I mean, a lot of his deaths, I think, were on the back of good positioning for his team, but it hasn't really been the same. Oh no, they're not able to get off the kill. Assert Dominance rips down, but the Whirlwind's going to save the lives of Virtus.Pro for the moment. Hekate's the first to drop, though. That's the worst possible person you could lose. Fasheko's staying alive, biding just a little bit more time in this fight. And the overpower just not clipping through that window. Penta, they're able to slow things down here. Good ultimate utilization there. And at 54%, they're in control of the point. Virtus.Pro used everything.
I just want to give shout-outs to Fasheko for tracing that when there's a wall in his way, getting those shots, and all 4 of them connected onto that Inara to set up that kill. It was really good. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to follow up with anything else as impressive, but he's been able to keep his team out. He's staying alive in this.
I can't believe Simsalou stayed alive as long as he did that time. Hekate was the first to go down for Virtus.Pro last time. Could argue that was the difference maker here. A little bit of a 1-for-1, or 1 versus 1, I should say. Xintra, Dosups going toe-to-toe. Xintra deciding he's going to back off here with Pule now taking up the mantle of point tank. 69% is where we stand. The second Illusory Rift of this round comes through, and Xintra and Simsalou find kills 1 and 2.
I mean, just doing whatever they can. Unfortunately for Xintra, he didn't have the ability to soak up as much healing as possible. But it doesn't matter. You got a teammate coming through 2, 3, maybe looking for 4 and 5 if they can find it. And they're going to, but a little slower, I think, pace than Simsy was going for.
This game, I mean, I think we're all waiting with breath held to see how this one plays out. If Penta push it in, they're on set point. If Virtus.Pro are able to defend, they go to point 7 with a chance to tie up the series. This is such an impactful 3-2. Changes the face of where the set stands. This is good early aggression from Virtus.Pro, forcing back Penta. Assert Dominance, finding some time for K Crunchy up top as well. And there comes the Midnight, maybe buying a little bit more space for Penta.
I mean, a couple of good shots here. Really, anything from Simsy would be able to open this up. That's going to be good, but you got to get rid of them. They go to get out of it again. That's the second Evil Mojo.
You got to be sad. Your Evil Mojos have been hitting, but the kills have not been coming through. They used all of the Evil Mojo kills for this game with that 1 triple kill and what looked like a good defensive stand from Virtus.Pro. Now is eerily similar to what we saw before. Simsalou looking for some dismounts, going to dash back through. 1 minute and 28 seconds left, and this payload is not looking like it's going to get stopped until it's nearly on the doorstep.
I have a feeling Pule only went and peeked that corner, specifically because Simsy's been doing that. Like, that's been his home away from home, right? That's where he wants to go. He's just like, I'm going to wait for you. Come on out of that base and see who's going to be the easy target. And he's still got half of his health down before he had to retreat. Pule's just getting bullied this game, and I think that's just the unfortunate scenario for him. And depending on how this goes, I mean, a minute, you can charge up 1 more Assert Dominance if you need it. And that might just seal the deal if you get it.
Well, if you're Virtus.Pro, you're hoping that you win this fight because you throw out the Whirlwind, scout, Dome shield as well. Evil Mojo and Overpower. Overpower missed. Evil Mojo no kills last time they were used. Penta close to charging up some ult as well. A 22 streak for Bolka. Shout outs to the healer on Penta. The healing's been good. The illusory rifts maybe even a little bit better. It's a good defensive stand from Virtus.Pro with 30 seconds left.
You know, I'd love to be able to look at the slash lines actually real fast, just to see where Arrays stands, because he's 9-6 and 14. That's actually what I wanted to harp on. He's not on someone, normally we've seen Leon, we've seen Cassie, like we've seen him on champions he could carry with.
Yeah.
Vivian doesn't scream, I'm going to carry the game to me. She screams like, I can go positive, I can do weight. He's going to be able to do this. No one's looking at him. No one's around.
No, he's back to Midnight as well. They don't know he's back there. Simsaloo with the mobility. There are going to be respawns. Hecate is going to drop down, try to stall it out. It's a 1v1 that Hecate comes out on top of. Nearly goes in favor of Penta. Instead, it's defended successfully thanks to a solo kill from Hecate. Oh, no.
Hecate just earned his paycheck. I don't care where they end up for this. Hecate just earned it. If he misses a single shot in that, I think Simsy's able to push that one through and out. That was incredible. That's a good shot call coming down from Penta. Yep. That is something, again, we've seen it in the league. That is not an uncommon play at this point. But it's never truly successful. We've only seen it succeed a few times. And it's moments like that where you have that chance. And you know how bad it feels to lose that way?
Yeah, wow. And through a Midnight, Hecate is able to drop down, find the shots. It might have expired right when he dropped down. But resilience for Penta, 5 strong. Resilience for Virtus.Pro, that helps. 0.7 here, resilience is 10 strong in this game. Virtus.Pro, 2 ultimate strong. Couple on Penta as well. The Evil Mojo comes in. Are they able to find the kill this time around? They're not. Simsaloo survives through the Evil Mojo yet again. The assert dominance onto the high ground. Sets up Erase for a triple kill. The Vivian's running wild here towards the end of this game.
A couple more daggers into that back. Doseps goes down, and he's just staggered enough. 8 seconds left before he's back. Fish just spawned, and he's looking to go back in already. They have the Whirlwind. They have the Overpower. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I mean, you need a big kill from Pule here to make this make a huge difference. And that's illusory rift.
Is this set going to be tied, or is Virtus.Pro going to be on the verge of going out? Hecate onto Crunty. That's an essential first kill. Vex as well getting in onto the action, and Simsaloo is going to be the recipient of that one. That's a good wall from Accenture. They get in. They do get the touch, but it's Hecate. He's the one who's touching. Erase needs to get cleaned up right now. The shield biding him a little bit of time. Pacheco rounds the corner and drops that one. Virtus.Pro has stabilized at the moment. Accenture forced back, but the reinforcements are here for Penta.
I like the call. You back off. You let them have a little bit. You're at 99%. They're at 51. You have time. You just got to play it patiently overall. Go for the side. Pule is on his own, and that's a pick you can absolutely find. Vex has expended everything. Dome shield just came up, but there's the Midnight.
There's the Midnight. Can you bide the time? The Dome shield does come through. Oh, Simsaloo with the kills onto Vex. No more healing for Virtus.Pro, and potentially the final fight, the double kill as well. I'm going to do it to the healer. I'm going to do it to the damage dealer. Can you maybe do it twice? Evil Mojo comes in. That's not going to matter. Penta with a clean team fight. They're 1 game away from your finals.
You got to slice that entire last 3 rounds. Every round Penta won, really. You have to slice it one way and one way only. Pacheco, those Evil Mojos didn't, like, they connected, but nothing came out of them. And that isn't honestly his fault. That comes down to the team. I don't know where they're looking. If Resilience was just playing too big of a role against them, you can see Simsy.
He feels the same way we do.
Was feeling the pressure that entire time. But it comes down to me, to those Evil Mojos. How many times did we see Simsy pop out of it? The same thing for the Ashe, the same thing for the Inara. That's 3 kills every single time. If you just get one of them, it's a 4v5. But they never got one.
I don't know if you can even call it a miracle run for Penta. They're looking like the favorite in this matchup. 1 game away from going to your finals. Des, can you guys believe it?
Oh, I can. The non-belief left out, yesterday when they 3-0'd Na'Vi. But right now, it is just very exciting stuff. Penta, a minor league team, has come into our MSI bracket and stunned the world and continue to do so against Virtus.Pro. Now, at set point, if they can win the next game.
This is crazy, man. There's so many things to unpack with Penta. There's such the whole package. It's really not Simsaloo or Arrays carrying this team. There's a lot of little things, and that can happen with the front lines and supports. Yeah. You miss a lot of the little things that they do well, but it really is the total package for Penta. It definitely helps that Arrays and Simsaloo are having their moments today, but again, you got to give credit to the whole of what Penta is.
Penta is a team that's defying everyone's expectations. That's first off what they are. The second part is like you mentioned, they're a well-oiled machine, but they're creative. I mean, this lineup looked to us like, Nick, how's this going to really work out? Like, I'm seeing that they're going for some stuff. I just don't know what's going to unfold. But they pull it off, and they make it work. And this is something that we only have really ever seen with teams like NIP. But those guys have earned the ability to do stuff like that. They're almost like, we're so good, we can play what we want. These guys are just playing whatever, and it's catching people off guard still.
Simpson's going for it. 14 deaths, the most in the game, but 16 kills, tied for the most in the game as well. Got to keep it going. These tanks are putting up some big numbers as well. Cruncy and Exentra, 70k and 99k. Cruncy pulls as much damage as Simslu does overall, which is not easy to do given how effective Maeve can be at all ranges. Look at the wrecker, though. I mean, 2 pairs of knives, and Puleul's shield is torn to shreds. This is the big pick, though. Obliterating Vex. He just got exploded seconds after the Midnight was launched. That was the kill. I think they put the nail in the coffin.
And I think that when you talk about energy, it is heavily in favor of Penta right now. We were sitting here at the desk, and we could hear those boys yelling, and there's many walls and many a corridor separating us. It was so loud. You could tell he's buzzing. He is ready. The only thing that is interesting to me is something that Penta and Simslu specifically had said, that there's kind of like a little bit of an ability for him to play only a certain amount of games with Eevee, and I don't know if Maeve applies there before his wrist starts to actually hurt. And he's kind of this has been a story running throughout Simslu's career, even offline play, where people thought, okay, is he serious about this or what? I mean, come on, dude, play Eevee.
Yeah.
You could see when he was doing that, he really has these issues. So my only thing is, they better finish this up quickly to save him for a final matchup that is definitely going to test him and his champion pool.
Definitely. He plays these very, very fast, very, very loose characters like the Eevee. And Maeve, to an extent, has a lot of the parallels that Eevee does as well. You have to be very in and out, popping a lot of abilities, a lot of cooldowns.
Totally. And
just very aware of your situation. Simslu gets it done. He does have a lot of deaths that game. It's something to note. Almost gets that back cap as well. That would have been a very, very cool moment. I think Random Noob or Bonker, some of our more famous PPL back cappers, might have got that one done.
That's true.
The one thing I almost disagree, the Midnight was almost like sounding the alarm. Like when you do that, when you try to backdoor something, you literally try to just be as non-noticeable as possible.
Exactly.
Don't do anything. You just quietly try and push it in. But, popping your ultimate is not exactly, doing something quietly.
Even though it does appear that it becomes dark for a lot of people, it's still like loud ass footsteps going on. So you're like, you're over there, aren't you? But at the end of the day, it ends up working out for them. They don't necessarily get the push. They do end up getting the objective capture. And these teams are, really fighting for their lives now. Virtus.Pro, not a team that we expected to even be here because they were facing some really strong competition yesterday, but ended up putting it together. And now, at the verge of being defeated by Penta, our minor league representative from Europe. They're the #1 seed there. And so this story, if you're just joining us, is phenomenal. Simslu and his anime character arc here. Seems like he has gotten the better end of Vex's, as they both have played phenomenally, but only one game going to Virtus.Pro thus far.
And yes, they're playing at the PPL caliber level, but we can't take away from the fact that they have not been here, have not been playing on LAN, scrimming on LAN, playing all these PPL teams, practicing against all these PPL teams all season long.
Yeah.
These guys have some PPL experience sprinkled amongst them, but none more successful than any of the given players from Virtus.Pro. All of these players have that amount of experience and then some with LAN, wins, international wins to boot. No matter how you stack it, Penta are the underdogs here. This is still an insane story to be able to do this so consistently. People talked about, Simslu kind of talked about, it was kind of a fluke yesterday from Navi. That was an uncharacteristic performance. Is it a fluke today at this point? These guys are continuing to put on a show, and you can't chalk it up to a fluke every time.
Listen, if you were going to play against, you play Michael Jordan one-on-one, and it was buckets. So if you score, you get the ball back, and you just hit every three-pointer that you got. He never got a chance to play offense. You'd say, oh, it's a fluke. I beat Michael Jordan. But is it really? He didn't get a chance to do much because you were dominating the arc of the game.
Yeah.
You were definitely bringing a lot of the momentum to them, and so they had to react, and they couldn't play their game. It was because of you.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with Penta, man. This team is one that is appearing to be very versatile as well. They're not doing the same thing over and over again. They're bringing out kind of wildly different stuff. Simsalou has played Pip. He's played Maeve. He's now played, not Eevee just yet, but I'm curious to see if we get that. We got a little bit of Bomb King out of him. So coming up on the 4 or 5 champion mark, Excentra, Erase, all of these guys are showing great flexibility. Vivian, honestly, man, at this point, hasn't lost in this set, so we'll see if VP end up going back to it. We started off with a pretty standard set of picks and bans, and things have started to fluctuate as this set has gone on, as we've sort of come to expect.
Spuds has to do his work, and that's the problem with that last draft. I mean, how do you prep for that? How do you prep for those priorities? How do you even assume that you could do anything against that now? You just don't know what Penta's throwing at it. Vex himself yesterday in the interview after winning said, you sometimes just don't know what people are going to pick. You really don't, and you have to react. And obviously you could tell Bright Marsh it was close, but Penta made the big plays at the end. It was easily going to be 2-2. So Virtus.Pro don't feel like they're out of it yet. Again, one more win, and then one more win. One game at a time.
The Maeve has to take a seat. There is, a potent performance on it. Torvald is going to make it through. And now Penta have to decide how they want to deal with this. Stone Keep is your map. Keep that in mind as we move through this draft. It's a map where the high ground is important, but it's not, as make or break or, as you might expect on something like a Serpent Beach.
Sure.
So have to look at what Penta want to grab. Do they go for that Leon this early on in the draft, or they just let VP have it? They're gonna.
Very nice.
Cassie Genos is scary, especially if you go big game. And against a Torvald, goodbye shields. And there's no good night here because there's no Maeve. So you're not buying a lot of time. The pressure onto the Cassie has to come from a couple of different places. And what you're looking at available looks like it's going to be an Eevee. However, Virtus.Pro have been a little bit unique here in their approach. I would be surprised if that did not go untaken.
You bring up a good point, man. I mean, Eevee has been pretty absent in this set. Fish can do it on his own. Torvald Leon has been the potent combination of the tournament to pair with Grandpa. But we have also seen Fish Echo literally carry games with a Torvald Eevee combination. I don't know who's going to be getting the pocket. I think with their backs against the wall, I'm putting my chips on Fish Echo to carry me out of that situation. But Akate, obviously, very, very potent character. Really, really potent combination. A lot of good things for Virtus.Pro so far in this draft, but they have to answer the question of, how are we going to get this done, and who are we going to invest in?
Man, I don't know. I think to be honest, this is easily a triple DPS flex, so they've got to be careful on grabbing Drogoz. And I think that's what this Pip is maybe going to give VP the opportunity to think about. I'm not sure if Fish will do it. I think the Eevee's still the best play. If they pick an Eevee on Penta after this, if Drogoz is taken by VP, it will be an overwhelming amount of pressure. It'll be very hard. Even if Torvald and Leon are going through all of these champions, it'll just be very hard to get all 3 of them. They will be a pressure that is almost insurmountable. But Virtus.Pro, it's up to them. Ball's in their court.
I think this is actually an impulse game from Erase as well. I don't think you go big game here.
Yeah.
These are 2 of the lower actual HP tanks. And I just smell that Eevee coming. And there it is. And impulse is very good for dealing with those lower HP. Higher burst damage is the way to counter out Eevee and Leon. They are going to be getting bubbled. So it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I actually do like the Ruckus here. There's nothing that I look at on VP and just say, oh, that just obliterates Ruckus. Normally you look at stuff, anything that has hard in-hands to hit, but they hit hard a la your Bomb Kings and your Maeve, that's what you want to run against Ruckus because he's real easy to hit.
Or Cassie, right? I mean, that's super.
True.
That's very, very scalable onto a Ruckus with the Wrecker and, of course, the damage that she does. But alas, it is the Ruckus on the side of Penta, and it's the Eevee and the Leon that are going to have to get it done on the damage side. Akate and Fish doing their best to go up against Erase and Simsy, who are proving to be some of the most lethal damage dealers in this entire tournament. Let's send it down to Dave and Gore and get ready to get this game started.
It's been a matchup for the ages between Hecate and Erase on the opposite side, and then Fasheko and Simsalou. It's just been so much to watch. We've never seen, I should say, this season we haven't seen the 3-0 4-game run back. We have seen some 3-1s. It's time now for Virtus.Pro to mark their name on that list.
You start off right here as well with a Torvald first pick. You get a good Eevee. You have literal best in the world on it to be able to come through. This is something that will come down to Pule. I mean, he has been having some great games and some really rough games just
you're right.
in this set. The one game they win was his performance kind of, I want to say stepping up, him as Khan that time around. So I'm wondering if this time, maybe a little bit more control. Also notable, Khan not picked and I don't believe banned either.
Second time this set, that's been the case. 2 4 stacks are going to be running into one another. The burst damage, though, the AoE is going to make better use of that on the side of Penta. Cruncy, Pacheco. Answering back, a few shields onto the side of Virtus.Pro allow them to back off of this one. But Simsalu's looking to stay aggressive, plugging away a few shots at Pule up into the air, nearly goes down, but so does Simsalu. Oh, the Moxie healing is so good, it keeps him alive. Accenture and Erase are able to find a few kills on the back line.
I mean, it's exactly what they need, though. They find him piece by piece. Hekate's alive, Hekate's back, but Hekate's not doing too much. He's actually getting chased down. Cruncy, if he goes around this corner, would be able to find him. That's just going to be nice timings there for Hekate to stop things from happening. But it's 51% now for Penta. And Simsy's, again, showcasing why his pip is, at this point, I would argue world-renowned.
I agree. It needs to be up there in that conversation with some of the best. Making full use of it this time around. Pacheco had a good start to the game on pip last round on Brightmarsh. And I don't know if it's necessarily his fault, but there was just no follow-up on so many of those evil mojos. At 81%, a double kill from Erase may pull things back in favor of Penta here. Into the ice block goes Pacheco. No follow-up damage to get that one. Dread Serpent gets Erase, but no damage is in there onto him. He tumbles back behind the car, turns around with the flick shot onto Dosups. Penta up 1-0.
Doing whatever they can, and Erase is not holding back. There's going to be the Ice Storm to try and lock him down for a little bit, but you're just finally getting, I would say, like a consolation prize. That's one of the ones that me and you have been using a lot lately, and that's kind of what it feels like here. You lose the point, you got rid of Erase. Yeah, you were able to do it, but Pacheco just has not been having the performance that he needs. And Bolka, again, I remember Nick mentioning this, I believe, yesterday.
Oh, no.
Going for the shot of, if you retreat right here, we're going to blow you up. If you don't retreat, we're going to kill you. You lose-lose. This is not a winning scenario for you.
Well, it was Virtus.Pro went for the 4-stack, everyone except for Pacheco riding up to the top of that balcony next to the point there. And Penta answered back. Oh, nice mobility there. Small min-max play from Simsalu. Making full use of that mobility, getting up top there. But Penta, they rode with the same 4-stack, but overpowered Virtus.Pro. The blast shots from Simsalu, the AoE damage that he brings, just too much for Virtus.Pro. Good long-range shot from Hekate, right into the Hexafire, but into the ice block goes Pacheco. He'll come back out with a little bit of time left and turns, cleans him up. Hekate, though, answers back with a double kill.
That was Cruncy play in the field and just hoping that the timers were going to be in his favor. As this game goes on right now, Torvald's already getting rolled over. We saw this a little bit earlier, but as you get more items online, presumably Wrecker, probably for this Cassie, it's going to be a lot more difficult for anyone. And she's already on Wrecker too. You already have a Wrecker on Exintra and a Wrecker on Bolka. It's going to be very difficult. And then you lock that in with the Kot2 from Cruncy and Simsalu. They're spreading their damage all over the place. This is just difficult. They have itemized exactly the way they need to on Penta.
Virtus.Pro haven't really been doing themselves a lot of favors this game, or this set really, where you see, you might lose the mid fight, but then you get some kills, zone them back into their base. I don't think I've seen Penta zoned out once back into their base. The payload has moved so quickly into the base of Virtus.Pro seemingly every time they lose that mid fight, and this is no exception. 27 seconds left. Dosups has to move forward. Pule luckily finds the kill onto Erase. With a little bit of time left, Penta looking like they want to back off.
They have another time and space if they really, really think they can reopen this, but you need one that connects at least onto somebody. Whether or not it gets a kill, I don't think matters. Obviously, you'd love it to, but if you can even just cripple one of the front lines, make it a little easier to get in there and deal that damage, it's going to be worthwhile. But right now, it's incredibly low.
Oh my, the healing amp nearly stays alive behind his wall. Geno's healing may not be enough. You get the healing amp of the Inara, it's going to do more than enough. Just buys a little bit of time. Hekate still on the high ground. Dosups as well. It's going to be a successful defense from Virtus.Pro. Pull it back to a 1-1. You always have to keep your eyes out for a through time and space, especially on Stone Keep.
At the beginning.
There's sort of that one route that most people take. If you're going to the Keep, everyone knows right around the time that you're going to be there. Although on the opposite side, you expect maybe that the time and space does come in that zone. So how that's utilized could be make or break here for Penta. They need to find an answer, though, on Virtus.Pro. They've had some good defenses. Finally, they find one where the payload is so close for like a minute and a half. But things stall out here. Dosup's having a good game. Pule, I think this is a good fit for him on the Torvald. He's had kind of hit or miss games on Khan. So giving him a clear-cut objective. I think he's making good on it up to this point.
I'd actually love to take a peek at what Bolka is running in his loadout, only because this is one of those moments as a Genos where if he hits a really good through time in space and he's running only 40% on the range for Astral Mark,
he knows where they are.
It means you could have been able to do just maybe a little bit more with that ult from further behind.
Ooh, through time in space, he gets it onto Puleole. He saves it for not the beginning of the fight, but just a few moments later. That's a 1-for-1 trade. They might not have needed it anyway. Vex is trying to stay alive, but Dosups is the only one who's going to have a chance at the end of the day. Penta beautifully timed. They got 36%, but here comes the zone from Cruncy.
And here I was going to say that they were going to be at a disadvantage this fight because they used Evil Mojo at the end of the last round, but they don't seem to be hurting by that by any means as of right now. 51%. Virtus.Pro should be able to get back in, should be able to find some touches here because they've broken the zone. Yeah. But you're going to be looking at an 80% plus lead over here for Penta.
You get Cruncy. Oh, but he whips out the Hexafire, goes right into the shield, right into the Dome Shield. But Eccentra, he's going to stay in it and get the kill onto Dosups. That's so much of your frontline presence. Pule now has to drop down. He's not the tanky member that you want on the point. Hekate, though, on the backside is able to clean up the kill. Cruncy's still alive. He was within an inch of his life a moment ago, but he stayed alive throughout the rest of this fight. It could all be down to Fasheko, but he's back to base, and Penta get point number 2.
And Dosups, I mean, at that point, he got dismounted, he got stopped. I think right where he needed to. There was no timing, and it was that moment of recognition of, if I keep running forward, I'm not going to get the touch, and I'm going to die. I'm just going to turn tail and run right now to make sure I can get home and try to find safety and comfort in the arms of my teammates. But unfortunately, it didn't come through. He gets walled off, he gets locked down, and now the kills, again, starting to roll up Penta.
There's zone. Some good rocket shots here from Cruncy. Could turn things around. Enlightenment from Hekate onto Simsaloo. That's a good pick here, and this is showing what I wanted to see a little bit more of from Virtus.Pro. Force out just a little bit, because last time around this payload was so close to going in already around this time. And actually, kills coming up red here still looks good for Penta to maybe start pushing this one in. And they're staggered out. 10 seconds on Fasheko. You got to be careful here. A good through time and space could push this one in.
I'm going to give Cruncy the compliment of his life, and this Ruckus is reminding me of Rubu. This Ruckus is reminding me of Phoenix. It's having that kind of performance right now and that kind of impact, and that is probably the best thing you could have going on in this lineup. You don't need Simsaloo to have a 20-0 game or a 20-2 game if you have your Ruckus applying this much pressure. It lets Simsy have a little less pressure on him. It lets Erase have a little less pressure on him, and they can just play their game because Cruncy is just taking so much of the onus onto himself.
And he has the Hexafire. He's made good use of that ultimate throughout this game. They know Fasheko is flying around in their backline. Some low members on the side of Virtus.Pro right now, or I should say Penta, need to be careful. Hekate, Erase trades out onto Fasheko, bites off a little bit too much and is not actually able to find the kill right here. Evil Mojo is ready for Simsaloo, doesn't need it onto Hekate. They have no more damage dealers. Dosups using the bowling ball, but gets absolutely deleted. Penta could push this one in, only using the Hexafire, and it's going to happen. They're 1 point away from going to your finals.
Now, being able to set this up again. Last round, they didn't have the Evil Mojo. This round, they don't have coming in. It's very bland. Like, that's a very Alex expression. Like, yes, we're just playing the game right now. Yes. That's about all you'll get out of Alex, too, as well, if you ask him any questions. But, I mean, now you're coming in, like you said, no Hexafire and no Seismic Crash. But you get the Evil Mojo through time and space, which as long as you line it up like they did last time, it's a do-or-die scenario. You either fight here or you back up into this 2,400 damage. There's no winning scenario. And like you said, Scout might not be the biggest. It's not going to do too much against this team. Maybe save you from a Dread Serpent if you pop it before that. But vision early on, setting Bolka up to be able to find a couple of kills, that is really where I think it might find some utility. Now, everyone has record, too.
Everyone has record,
everyone
too,
has
as well.
record, everyone has confidence.
Might as well not have shields. The advantage of a Torvald almost not there. Through time and space into the Evil Mojo. They do find the kill. Puleole as well. That's an Evil Mojo that gets onto Cruncy. Hekate and Fasheko answer back with a couple kills of their own. Penta backing off just a little bit. Threw a lot at the wall there. Got some value out of it. But Virtus.Pro in a good point to answer back.
With comeback mechanic, that honestly might do it. That might keep Virtus.Pro alive just now. They need a little bit of zone. Fasheko is going to be able to do that beautifully as they need to. But Simsy seems to have slipped by. A couple of members seem to have slipped by there as they're going to get aggressive. And now things have kind of flipped on their head right
watch
back
out.
again.
Watch out. Simsaloo on the high ground, on the pip as well. That's nothing to be trifled with. Fasheko, though, calls him on his bluff, blinks up, gets the kill. Virtus.Pro finally find a mid-fight. Fasheko had to go big in these instances. The bubbles were a little bit longer standing this time around. Fasheko staying aggressive into the ice block, misses the final shot on Tabolka. But nonetheless, Virtus.Pro will be happy. They've bought themselves a little bit more life in this matchup, a little bit more time. Penta cannot win the game, cannot win the set on this defensive stand, but Virtus.Pro, they could tie it up here on Stone Keep.
So, Pip Chickens arrive at 1,500 health, and if you're unaware, Ruckus Rockets do exactly 1,500 damage if you do it right, and land them, connect them, right? You're not looking for the splash damage there. And that's why in that moment you see a good Evil Mojo come through, but both Simsy and Ruckus are trying to get up there. Crunzy, they get maybe too aggressive. I'd actually argue the reason they lost that fight is not just because Virtus.Pro were able to find those 2 kills, but it's because Penta moved almost too far forward. Kind of that moment, that hype moment where you're like, we can do this, we can do this. Oh wait, we just lost because we overextended. All right, calm down, fall back. We lost this point. Let's get a full press defense. We'll do it next time.
It's like you saw the 2 chickens, and then that's all you tunnel vision in onto. Break through that doorway. Penta, though, trading out their lives in the mid-fight. 3-2, and again, I mean, I can't touch on it enough. This is where Virtus.Pro have been lacking on the defensive end. What's happening right now? Remember, Penta is not on offense right now. They are zoning Virtus.Pro so deeply that they're not even able to get onto the payload. Whereas on the opposite side, Virtus.Pro are back in their own base with the payload almost going in around this time when they're playing defense. Just trying to get back to the payload here with 50 seconds left. Still plenty of time. Not a very long map on Stone Keep. Both teams, 4 ultimates on the side of Virtus.Pro, 5 for Penta. The Hyper Beam could buy some good utility, could force some away from the payload for Virtus.Pro. You'd want to tie this one up, of course. But .7s have been back and forth this entire game.
They haven't hit the main choke point just yet, and that's the biggest thing. You need the archway. It's about 3/4 of the way through, maybe 2/3, but it's right there, right in front of where Simsy was looking, and right there on the right-hand side of your screen. This fight, this 1v1 goes one way or the other. That honestly might open that door up. But Evie's incredibly low. One good shot, one well-placed hit could potentially clean her up. But she's made it out for now. Still have some ult. You really don't want to have to use it with your Penta.
Starting to come alive on the Leon down low. A double kill already in this one. And gets another one on a Crunzy with the help of Fasheko here. Bolka's kind of forced back, kind of on his own. Fasheko with a double. Hecate with a double. We're going to another .7. Penta, you win, you go through. Virtus.Pro, you lose, you go home. You need to win this one to keep yourself alive in this set. 5 ultimates strong on both sides. Can the Evil Mojo find value? Can the Through Time and Space find value? Virtus.Pro, they have to realize their back's against the wall here. They fought well in the last one. That last mid-fight, they could have gone home as well. They absorbed the pressure, turned things around. This wants to stay alive in the tournament.
Now you've got Cauterized 3s coming online. Minimum, well, record 2 for literally everyone again here for Penta. But the Cauterize is way more prioritized on the one side. You've got a little bit of resilience sprinkled here and there. Blast shields there for Simsaloo. Whereas a lot more, I want to say, like selfish protection on the side of Virtus.Pro, but that's another thing facilitating them each individually living longer, which enhances their team play.
First comes the scout, nothing else coming through just as of yet. Tense moments here. Seismic Crash, Dome Shield, Hexafire, all going to the wall here for Penta, and they're the ones finding the kills. Hecate pulls one back, but there's too much utility coming in from Penta, and now Crunzy can get aggressive. Puleule is forced back. 30% is what Virtus.Pro got, but 42% is where Penta stand.
You got rid of Simsaloo early on, and he's the only one who still has his own. One good Evil Mojo could seal the deal. It's 63% here for Penta as they're looking to push themselves forward into the finals if they can find just one more fight.
Virtus.Pro, they have the ultimates, though. They can retake. There's the Evil Mojo. Doesn't find any value. Simsaloo's so low. Hecate's still alive. Erase goes down. In and out goes Fasheko. Finds a little bit of damage. Puleule with the Hyper Beam. Gets one onto Crunzy. Accenture's back as well, and it could not have come a moment sooner. Penta's at 93%. Virtus.Pro, they can zone out now at 66% and find themselves another win.
Being able to close this up, the gap is narrowing between the two. They're on the point right now, and someone's got to go in. Someone's got to be able to get a touch because no one is ready for this. Dosep standing alone, and there's going to be Crunzy.
Can you get Crunzy? Enlightenment's the only ultimate that's left in this game. Goes in just a little bit too far, but Erase pulls it back. Is Fasheko able to stay alive? He's not. Simsaloo and Erase are still alive. You have no more Fasheko. You have no more Hecate. You have no more time. Penta are going to the finals.
They close out exactly what they need. The last little bit of overtime seals the deal as they just come through. That was like the biggest last couple of kills you needed, and it is the positioning of Fisheko. I think if he's further out, behind cover, not in vision of 2 to 3 people, maybe they blink away, maybe they cover it up, but they close it out in a very emphatic way there, I would say, for Penta.
Take a deep breath right now. We got a tense one coming up. Two teams that have looked so similar going throughout this set. NIP only dropping a couple maps. Penta only dropping a couple maps. They're a minor league team, but they're playing like one of the best in the world. Not only have they proven it through their first few games here in the MSI, but they now have a chance to prove whether they're arguably the best in the world despite being a minor league team. Virtus.Pro had a convincing win on Ice Mines, but that's all they got in the semifinal set.
Well, Penta came in with a checklist of PPL teams they needed to beat. I don't know how high Virtus.Pro was on there, but they got another check mark there. Now NIP is the one in their sights, and honestly, that might be a scary place to be for NIP, even though they've been performing exceedingly well today, yesterday, and just throughout this split.
It's funny, we come out of the play-in bracket and say, well, you either get NIP or Na'Vi. Penta, they win, so they get both this week. NIP, they're going to be in the finals alongside them. Penta, oh my, I can't believe it. Can't wait. Desk, take it away.
Great call, boys. Fantastic stuff. 4-1, and it's Penta, our minor league representative from Europe, who will be meeting NIP. Only one loss in the entire Pro League in the finals of the Paladins MSI. And they've got some history to boot as well. Nick, this would be the most historic win, potentially, considering the level of amateur team technically performing against pro teams. They would have taken down Na'Vi and NIP if they win. I mean,
up until this point, Rubu and Rock Monkey were the best kind of like minor league tier 2 scene story, but Penta are quickly uprooting that. And look at the damage numbers with no Torvald pocket. Raze is still able to keep up on Cassie, just about 14,000 damage behind Akate. Crazy stuff. Fisheko out in front though, 129k damage numbers do not tell the whole story. I'm actually kind of surprised at how low Pule was. He had a rough game on Khan, rough game, 2-11 on Torvald here. It's definitely a bit of a hole in the roster there.
Yeah, and honestly, there's so much that he even did to get to the level where it was working for Virtus.Pro, because Sephi Cloud was supposed to be a part of this roster. Pule put in so much work. It started to really mesh, but it did lead to their inconsistency because they just didn't expect it, and they had to adjust on the fly. Yeah. It feels like they've been adjusting throughout the entire league. But look at Raze, 19-10, Nick. Simsy goes 5-10. That's unusual for a guy of his caliber, but Raze bringing that level of carry. And at this stage, at this level of play, it's really hard to put into words other than this dude's for real.
Still grinding it out with the big game as well, despite kind of what we talked about, the strengths and the weaknesses of both. He kind of had to have this game. Look at this situation, though. 99-99, 3-3. Obviously, set's not on the line for Penta, but they show such great resolve to be able to take this one slow, take this one steady. We didn't get this. This is a great perspective of this fight because we did not have this. This is where it all went so right. Nobody's even really looking at him. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Erase sneaks in. We've talked a lot over the course of the Paladins esports scene about Cassie, how she is just an objectively kind of quieter character in the audio mix, especially when it's that type of situation. It is easy to forget about her. And for you look in your death recap and you get plugged away, 2,400 damage from Cassie, you're just like, oh, where? Damn it. When did that happen?
Yeah. What Cassie? Which Cassie? Is there another Cassie on there? I thought I saw the Cassie that was shooting me, but there must have been another. Were there two of them? It was ridiculous. The level of damage he was able to do.
New ult idea. Ziggs just starts pecking away at you.
I think it could work. It would be cool if you were Cassie. Not cool if you're playing against her. NIP and Penta. We'll see if Penta can take down what really feels like the raid boss here, or if NIP will nip Penta's dreams in the bud and be able to shut them down and kind of send their minor league ambitions back to the minor league. I'm sure not all of them will be there come next season, but oh my goodness, let's celebrate the moment that it is. The PML #1 seed from Europe is in the finals of the Paladins MSI, and right now we've got the chance to speak with them for an interview.
First place in the minor league, you get first place in the play-ins, and you get probably what I would argue would be the roughest bracket run. You have to go through Na'Vi, you do it like it's nothing. You have to go through VP, it's a little bit more snags, but you are able to check it off. That's 2 PPL teams. You've now won, you're going up against NIP. How do you guys feel?
I mean, I think we're all the team is like really not really surprised, but we're just really happy. I think we're still confident for the next game. It's pretty unbelievable how far we gotten. Like Na'Vi first, VP now, and NIP's up next. So hopefully we can beat them as well.
Yeah, I kind of made a joke on cast just now while you guys were walking back about how you win the play-in bracket, you quote get to go play NIP, you beat them, you beat Virtus.Pro, and now you get to play against NIP after how convincing those games were. How confident are you feeling now against the #1 seed in NIP?
I feel really confident against them. I played them like many times. Like I know our opponent, I know what they want to do.
Yeah, I think they're still like a very unpredictable team, so it's definitely gonna be the biggest challenge. I think Na'Vi was a little bit more predictable. Same goes for VP, but NIP you never know what they're gonna do, so it's gonna be an interesting set, I think.
So as a team, you guys have shown a lot of flexibility and like a lot of the top teams in the PPL right now, that's the reason they're the top. It's part of the reason that you guys were able to dominate the minor league. And it comes down to like even to that last game, you pull out the ruckus specifically for you, Gruncy, and like, did you know like going into that game you were going to have that kind of performance where it just changed everything in your tide?
No, yeah, I expected that.
The ruckus is just unbelievable. Let's put it that way.
Well, again, guys, it's impressive coming through for all of this. I guess, do you have any thoughts, like, I'm going into this, you were saying, I'm a little nervous, NIP are very unpredictable.
Yeah, it's pretty
Is there anything crazy for this next set?
I don't think we're going to be pulling something crazy. I think we're just going to keep on going like we have been playing, and hopefully we'll get the win again.
Well, lucky for you, you just came off a hot win, so you at least have a little momentum coming behind you in your booth. Congratulations on your win. I guess good luck in your next set.
Thank you.